Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Last Lap Show here for the Mexican Grand Prix. Hello, Tommo. I'm joined by my beautiful co-host here. How are we doing, Stan? You excited for the race?
Stop it. And all these beautiful cameras catching all these pores and catching all the glistening off this forehead as well.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be back, and it's a pleasure to have you back after Austin.
I know, yeah, been away. Wasn't here.
What was it like? What was it like? Quick one.
It was quality, yeah. I think the hashtag best fans. The fans out there are sensational, very fanatical. They love it, and it was a pretty decent race as well. Obviously, with the battling late on for the win between Max and Lewis. Took me back to 2021 times. Can't lie.
It was a bit nostalgic, wasn't it?
It was a bit nostalgic
For a brief period.
Yeah, for about 10 seconds. Yeah, it was completely dead. But yeah, no, quality race and good experience out there. But glad to be back.
Exactly, and it's good to have you back. Alongside, we've had fresh guests every week. We've got two very special guests. Starting with my boy, who I've known from the race, from early doors. And this guy used to watch my football content as well. That's a proper throwback.
Bloody hell.
Not applicable, JB. Second JB in a week as well, in a row. How you doing, man?
I'm very good, thank you, lads. Yeah, appreciate it. Well, West Ham vlogs were the one back in the day. So before Formula One.
A long time ago. And beside you...
Yeah, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, TMI's very own, Cam Kirkham.
Oh, man,
baby.
That was like Michael Buffer. I love it.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, mate. I'm good. I've just turned up like 2 minutes ago because me Uber driver was so slow. It's ironic that we're going to be watching like fast cars and I had the slowest Uber driver. Yeah, I said before he was like Latifi.
TV vibes.
Awful.
And I didn't know. So talk to us about F1 then, man. Because I've known about your stuff for time back in the EXO days.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, the dog days.
And like, we can bring all those wounds back up again.
Yeah.
Like, so
Save
where's
my
the
brow.
F1 connection?
I've watched it since. So my stepdad got us into it since about 2007, I believe.
Okay.
Like around about when like Felipe Massa and stuff was kind of knocking about the track. Don't know if that's a phrase you use.
It is now.
Yeah, basically since then, just loved it. And then last, 5 years, I've really started getting back into it. I had like a little bit where I was kind of went off it, where obviously the Mercedes kind of domination, it was kind of, I thought it went a little bit like a lull kind of stage. But then last few years, it's just been really back into it, loving it. Yeah.
So do you have any particular drivers or teams you pull for?
Oh, it's got to be Danny Ricciardo as a driver.
Yep.
Absolutely love him. Terrible season, awful. Literally terrible. Like,
Are you going to watch next year? Or?
No, that's the end. This is
This is it. This is the
let
climax
someone
now.
pick him up. Someone please pick him up.
Yeah, we can't get you on for next season, so...
That's it. This will be one and only time. Danny, regarding teams, I'm not really like a team kind of guy. I like Danny. I suppose Lando as well. So, but McLaren, I don't really have that kind of attachment to McLaren. But probably them two are my favourite drivers, I'd say.
Yeah. About you, JB?
McLaren man, through and through. Another JB, Jenson Button, back in the day.
of course. Good stuff.
Is that why?
Pretty much, to be fair. You know, classic 2009 Glory Hunter. He's just won the championship.
Yeah.
I'll be a fan of him. Then he went to McLaren, and then McLaren just absolutely torpedoed down the grid. Like, we went through the Fernando Alonso, Stoffel Van Dorn era.
Oh, wow.
GP2 engine.
It was so bad. It was so bad at that time. But we're slowly creeping our way back up there, getting our way back up. To be fair, Danny Ricciardo got us a win last year. So
Yeah,
I owe him quite a lot for that.
You owe Danny a lot. I feel like Danny's just absolutely torpedoed you. I can't lie about that. I think just with Danny, like I'm hoping this race he can kind of. I was hopeful in qualifying he was going to do something, in a Q1. I was like, okay, come on, and then it just sinks every single time.
I would love to find out, maybe someone in the live chat, if you're watching, can let us know how many times Daniel Ricciardo's gone out P11 in qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting on the cusp, but not quite.
I was about to say Q2, generally speaking. I think it might be like pretty much every Grand Prix this season by like 2.
It's pretty, and I think...
But P11 is like a big one.
Yeah,
and I feel so bad for him. Like, you're literally there.
Yeah.
You're right there.
That's
Just let him
what I
out as well. Just let him go out in Q2.
Race pace, I just instinctively, I don't think it's been a million miles off, but qualifying is where it's kind of, unfortunately, bitten him in. So P11 again. But let's take a look at this weekend's, where we're racing Mexico for the Grand Prix.
The Mexican
at
Grand Prix.
some serious altitude, which we'll talk about why that's important going forward. 71 laps, 4.3 kilometers of speed. What do we make of the Mexico City street circuit, lads? What are our opinions on this one? Because it's typically, it's not considered one of the best, but not typically one of the worst either. Like, any strong feelings in the room?
I think it's almost good. It's it's just missing. I don't know what it is. I think it's the baseball section as well. Just kills the lap time. I don't know. This is just from my perspective playing the game, which is a bit.
It's as close as
That's where we're going to get to. But I feel like I'm putting together a solid lap, and then I get to the baseball stadium, and it's so slow.
Yeah.
And it just kills all rhythm that you've got throughout. And then obviously the main overtaking zone down towards turn 1. It's a long straight, but you've kind of segmented all the cars through the baseball stadium anyway.
Yeah.
So it's really tricky to then overtake down in towards turn 1.
Yeah. It also kind of looks like a really badly drawn pistol as well. So there's kind of that one there.
Yeah,
as
someone's
well.
first
Say hello.
Yeah.
Little friend. If you pull that out, you're not going to be worried. I'm pretty sure that's backfiring.
It's missing. Even if he aims it, it's missing.
But that's the thing as well. Like, you've got that long straight, which typically in F1, a long straight does mean an overtaking opportunity. But because it's altitude, the air's a lot thinner, so DRS is less of a thing, and also it affects cars' aerodynamics a lot more. It's one of them that we've seen some weird ones in qualifying as well, like Ferraris P5 and P7. Like, Charles had a really bad day.
Yeah, like Bottas is in between them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I couldn't believe that.
Without refilling.
Yeah.
Ferrari salami sandwich.
That's got to be on some merch, though, surely.
Give us any ideas, mate.
But also, like, Charles, like, imagine getting out qualified by Bottas. Like, that's
In an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're fuming.
that's pretty insane, especially do you think that's down to just the track?
I feel like certain engines particularly seem to struggle here. Over the years. It's always been, there's less, your car's generating less aero anyway. We saw the Williams right at the back, as they really should be, considering how little aero they're generating. Monza, they were fine. It's always it always throws up some interesting qualities, which is great for the race, right? Because then hopefully we'll get something a bit more exciting.
Yeah, you get some different podium finishes, for example. You got over Mercedes, obviously, right up there this weekend. Second and third on the grid?
Yeah.
Lewis and George,
That's
which
it,
is
man.
sensational. The glory days are back.
Because that's what I was thinking when I was looking at Lewis. I was like, I really thought he'd get pole, but wasn't it just before Q1 they were doing like work on his brakes about 10 minutes before? And obviously, like, Lewis is like, well, it seems obvious to say, but really, wants full control of the brakes. And I don't know if that maybe was just because it's got to play on your mind. Surely 10 minutes before, if they're fiddling around with your brakes, surely it's got to be like a little kind of thing. So
It's not inspiring much confidence.
Yeah,
is it?
exactly. So that's why I'm confident for the race that, especially since pole position here at Mexico isn't too great. I'm confident that the second, third, fourth car could kind of get past Max.
That's crossed. We'll see. Well, I like Clutch's comment as well. Battery Voltas has been recharged.
Battery volts.
That's good. You usually get a good run down to turn 1 at Mexico. Talking of Mercedes, I guess this has been a continuous story. I've been, I've said this from the start. I want Lewis to get a win this year. I want him to preserve that record. There's 3 races to go. Like, JB, do you think this pace that is not only in qualifying, in practice, they were looking really sharp as well. Is this the time? We keep saying it. Is this the time?
I feel like if I say yes and then it doesn't happen, people are going to be cross.
You've already jinxed the entirety of McLaren in your time.
I've done that well, yeah. I turned up, they were winning championships and I was absolutely slated. I feel like every single weekend until it gets to Abu Dhabi, we're going to say it every weekend.
Of course, yeah. Definitely.
Because it is that record for Lewis Hamilton. And I want to say yes. I feel like Mexico is a good opportunity, especially considering what we've seen in qualifying, just because the Ferraris look so slow. I think that's been the main thing with Mercedes this year, is because they've been third fastest, it's so tricky to get a win when you're the third fastest team. Like we saw it last year as well. What was it? Esteban Ocon managed to get a win in there. But apart from that, it was mainly Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, Bottas. Like, if you're in the top 2 teams, you always have that much bigger gap to the rest of the field. And because Ferrari have kind of been there, whenever there has been a slip up from Max Verstappen, which, let's face it, has not been often. He's won 13 Grand Prix this season. But when he has slipped up, Charles Leclerc's been there, Carlos Sainz has been there. So it's been so tricky. And also, like, the first half of the season for Mercedes, they were just playing catch up the whole time, right? Like, fiddling around with Lewis's setup.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to get George somewhere on the grid. Even though he was, like, always in the top 5, it was 4th or 5th. It was, like, never winning Grand Prix or in second place. Like, he got a few podiums in there.
Well, it's kind of like where Red Bull were in like 17 and 18 when you had like Lewis was winning and Valtteri was kind of doing a fairly good job. But then it was mainly Seb challenging in that Ferrari. And then there was a bit of, that is a bit of like an uncanny valley between like, P3 and then the top of the midfield, right? Because, I mean, what have you made, Cam, of these regs this season? Because there was all this talk beforehand about closing up the field. It is the first year of the new regs, but do you think they've done the job?
I think it's kind of hard to see for the first year. Like, I guess if you would say this year, you'd say no, because of how Red Bull have just kind of run away with it. But at the start of the season, obviously, Ferrari were quite strong. But I think when we're seeing now, like, Mercedes are getting stronger, I think next year, when, you know, there's been a little bit more time, I believe it might get closed up. But in the middle of the pack, it's quite tight, like, with what the points are.
That's what I've been impressed by, how close the mid... Yes, sure, you've got Red Bull and Ferrari, to be fair, because they've kind of more... like fucked it up by their own, like by themselves, right?
Yeah.
But like the midfield, you look at the swing between Alpine, McLaren, like Aston Martin were like shit hot last week. This like qualifying, nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere.
Both at Q1. Like that. If the whole field can be like that, sure, that's the dream, isn't it?
That's what you want. That is literally the dream. 2009 settings.
Come on.
Oh, when literally anything can happen at any given time. That's the one.
Oh, mate, I can't. Oh, Will.i.am's there. Look at that.
Will.i.am.
Talking about how he loves technology.
Yeah. Cheers, Will, mate. Thank you very much.
Great
to the
insight.
studio.
Great insight. Right, should we get predictions up, lads? Because we all gave ours beforehand.
Oh, God.
And let's see. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh, Cam, I'm liking yours already. Just in terms of just like how out there you've gone.
Yeah,
Against the grain.
fuck it. I don't...
Bro, I put Albon P5 last week, so it's fine with me, man.
I went for it, right, because I was doing a little bit of research before and I saw that third place has won it in the last 2 years, right?
Okay.
So, Lewis, third. I just thought, and a little bit of dreaming as well, I'm not going to lie, a little bit of like hoping, you know, it's more of hope than expectation. Like, the expectation is Max runs away with it with like 20 seconds. But I think Lewis could do it. I do. I really do. What about you? You obviously not.
I mean, I think he could. I don't think he will. Judging by my predictions there, obviously I've gone for Max Verstappen. But again, we mentioned like in terms of grabbing that win this season, this is probably going to be his best opportunity, right? You know, with the thin air, the actual decent Mercedes.
But we keep saying this as well, and they keep like knocking on the door because I think Mercedes' race pace has been clear of their quali pace for most of this year. Yet their quali pace, like, I mean, if you listen to George, he thinks he could have been within like a 10th of Max, if not taken pole, if he hadn't have made a few mistakes. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that then suggests to me, okay, maybe if on one lap they've got a car that's almost as quick as the Red Bull, then if they do take that same jump up in race,
and with a long run down into turn one as well.
Listen, maybe because it's in the straights. Looking at the breakdown of Verstappen's pole lap ahead of George, because remember George out-qualified Lewis as well, only just, but it was in the straights that Max was opening that gap up, and then like sector 2, George was catching right back up again, and then it just didn't kind of quite come together. But look, listen, regardless of who it is, whether it's Mercedes, Alpine, I just want to see more than 2 cars fighting at the front, because it's been so long since we properly... When was the last time we had like 3 cars properly fighting over the course of a whole season at the front? Like 2010
or 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
It'll have been when it was like Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. Basically, is when it'll have been.
I'm interested.
So long ago.
I'm interested to see though, like how now Lewis and George have got like a competitive car at the front. How their like relationship's going to be, because I don't know if it's going to be like a Rosberg and like a Hamilton, or like I don't say like a Bottas, but like kind of more compliant.
Yep.
Because I don't know. Is obviously Lewis is the number 1 driver? Is he gonna? Is George let him pass and stuff like that? I'm really unsure to see how they'll go because I feel like George has just got that little bit of like fire
Got the dog in him.
Valtteri didn't have.
You know what it is? That's actually a really interesting question because I think you're right. Like George definitely isn't the sort of Bottas. Like, you know what? Hi, listen for the team. Yeah, let me just pull over to the
If
side.
you're in
Like,
bed
he's not.
with my missus, I'll tuck you in.
He happy slapped Bottas.
Yeah.
Just after a massive accident at Imola.
Yeah, Imola,
Come on, like George is the one to because it's a really good point. When you're fighting in a car that isn't competitive enough to win races, you're hurting yourself by fighting your teammate. You've got to work together. That's why I think I love Esteban Ocon, but I think he has been too aggressive with Fernando at times.
That
this
Hungary
year.
start was ridiculous. Like,
You're
basically
just
pushed him
hindering
into the wall. Like, bro.
You're hindering the team. But like you say, if they give them to a car that can fight for wins, then that's where maybe it gets a bit more Ham Roz vibes, which would be great entertainment.
Yeah.
Do you think George Russell kind of thought that Lewis Hamilton might be on the way out? Like, he was like,
He probably hoped.
it's okay.
Sure, he must have
Like, I'll
hoped.
come into Mercedes. He's got 2 years left on his contract. And then Lewis has come out like a couple of weeks ago and it's like, I'm going to stay for a couple more years.
Yeah, exactly.
George, please.
Multi-year deal.
I stayed at Williams for 3 years for this. I just want a chance.
That's actually a very interesting one.
I think he probably did, you know. He probably thought, I'll be the number one soon. And it's like, no, definitely not. No. I think it's just interesting to see because I think there's definitely going to be a few tussles. Maybe it's not this season. Maybe still keep it civil, maybe. But next season when it really, you know, they're there, I really think there could be a little bit of fire between them.
That's what I
Obviously,
mean.
George has been getting caught up in a few of it, like incidents recently.
This second half of the
including
season,
Austin, for example. you know.
yeah, since Silverstone, since that incident with Joe, it's not. If you just evaluate the season from then to now, it's been a lot weaker than the start of the year. But was that just inevitable, or has he actually been a bit disappointing? Do we think? Like,
Is it the fact that he was at a Williams for so long and wasn't used to this, like, starting near the front, lots of traffic in and around you? Like, it gets very compact, very, like, especially through turn one in some of these Grand Prix where, like we saw last time out in Austin, it just felt like he didn't hesitate that Carlos Sainz was going to come across him. It just felt like he wasn't quite ready for that to happen.
he was very ambitious.
I remember watching the
Very
replay and going, there's at no point during this is he looking as if he's not going to have the accident. Like the whole time I was like, bro, you're going to hit him. You're going to hit him. And it obviously then, you know.
And he definitely said crikey just before
Crikey.
Because he snatched the front wheel on the side, didn't he, as well, which didn't obviously help endeavours.
Yeah.
I think that's the. I'm sure I know, chat. You'll correct me when I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. I think it's 4 times now Sainz has gone out in the first lap of a Grand Prix because there was Imola when Ricciardo punted him. So there's 4 times. That's why I think that's probably a bigger reason as to why, because the Ferrari is clear of the Mercedes over the course of the season race pace wise, but that's why they are relatively quite close in terms of constructors.
And also just the horrible decision making from Ferrari is like dreadful. Like it's like a comedy show.
It is.
It's like it's like the Office
great.
could be filmed just like in their kind of like like the thing there. It's just it's
That would be such a sick Netflix documentary.
much better than Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Just like Binotto, just like
Bonus
this, looking at
episode.
the camera like.
Just
Ferrari all or nothing would be
in that
so
way.
sick.
I mean, that's the team you would follow, surely. And it's kind of it's a shame because now that Ferrari have kind of, I think they've had some kind of clean weekends more recently, but it's going to take a long time for them to shake that reputation, I think. But it can be done. I mean, you know, Verstappen's a driver who, you know, crashed Appen. That was the meme for a long time in his early career, like at Red Bull in particular. He'd shunt a lot. But I think now he's kind of put that to one side. He's proven, and hopefully Ferrari can do the same because we need them to be fighting.
Yeah, I think. What do you think about like the mindset of like Sainz and Leclerc? Because obviously Verstappen's got that, and Hamilton as well. Have got that killer instinct. Like they're just like supreme. Like they can't be phased. But do you think? Well, at least I think Leclerc, the pressure gets to him a little bit, and maybe that's because of experience. Like he hasn't been fighting at the front. I'm not sure what you think.
I find it weird with Leclerc because he should have that based off his junior career. If there was going to be one of them where I'd be like, you're going to bottle under pressure, it'd be maybe Sainz because he's spent a lot of his F1 career in the midfield where it's like not quite as do or die, you're not fighting for a championship. So, but with Leclerc, like he's battled for championships in every single championship he's been in.
Yeah.
And usually come out on top. Like F2, he's slapped.
Well, even like
just slapped everybody about the whole year.
like
So I
even
just don't understand why he wouldn't have that.
well, even 2019, his first season in a Ferrari, he got the most poles. I know the engine was dodgy,
Illegal.
but like
Allegedly.
allegedly, exactly. We've got a caveat with that. Like, yeah, I think from that early stage, but that was his second year in Formula One, which was very impressive, but also it doesn't necessarily. I mean, there's been 3, obviously France, when he binned it into the wall, Imola, where he spun, and then Suzuka, where, yes, obviously, that's what kind of got Max the championship. If he hadn't have, gone wide at the final quarter of the final lap. So there are, like, I think he'll get that out of his system. I'm confident. Like, he's got the raw talent to match Verstappen, I think. I just think Max is the more complete driver at the moment.
Do you think that's because of the mentality, though? Because I think, like you've mentioned 3 times there, how many can you mention from Max?
Yeah, I mean, because Max has, I guess as well, it's like we judge the gravity of a mistake by the outcome. So, for example, like Max spun in Hungary, full 360, carried on, still won the race, right?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's like some sick edits afterwards of like, like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing is, I think the one for me with Max, especially when you look at like the outcome as well, it's not this season, it was right at the end of last season, that God Saudi Arabia lap, then final corner,
yes,
miles up, bins it. So, Max is culpable as well. It can
They're
get there,
human.
And exactly. So I think he's moved away from that as well as Max Verstappen. So I think Charles Leclerc, should be able to as well with the experience. Because again, this is his first title battle. That's always going to be a big factor.
Do you think you do just need that season almost? Like, not quite getting a title, but getting close.
Yeah.
And that just gets it out of your system.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
Charles Leclerc next year is going to be a completely different animal than
Character
he is.
building.
Exactly.
I think like Charles said he's not going to change the way he drives, which I think is actually the right way of doing it because, if he was to hold back, like in this sport, you can't, like in any sport, when you're at the top, you can't afford to be like consciously holding, you've got to go for it. You've got to go for every opportunity. And I think that will just come, like you think, what? Max's first season in F1 was 2015. Charles was 2018. So there's 3 more years of experience there in an F1 car, following the calendar around. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, because you can't just go off like their ages, right? You've got to go off their experience. Like, and you're saying 3 years is like that's like a hell of a lot of time, isn't it? Like experience wise.
All of uni.
Literally.
3 years is usually the breaking point as well in Formula One. Like we saw it with like George
That's the
Russell,
breaking point at uni as well, man. I was done. I was done after that.
That's why it's only 3 years.
Yeah.
But I feel like we saw it last year with like Lando and George Russell. Like both of them just kind of took a real big step up, and it was their 3rd year in Formula One. And I feel like we have that same kind of routine where if you get to 3 years, Nicholas Latifi hasn't quite done that this season, but like most other drivers,
not quite.
He's very kind.
He was
season 4's not coming.
qualified really well in Silverstone, so that was about it. But I feel like that 3 years does really like tip you over in Formula One terms.
Yeah.
It's like
I think if you haven't shown, I think 3 years, if you haven't shown that you've got that potential, then it's probably time.
Step out. Yeah.
Probably time.
You gotta go.
It's kind of like Giovinazzi. I think he had 3 years, I think, and it just never quite clicked.
What do you mean? He's back in next year. You saw him in the Haas in Austin.
Spun it after 7 minutes.
Yeah, that was 7
Out
laps.
of the
Look at some of the predictions
Crazy
in
stuff.
chat. So, what? Cars with Connor's gone for Russell, Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton.
Love
Russell
Cars with
can run.
I think that's interesting.
Elusive win.
Yeah, that's interesting with like putting Russell first because I think obviously Russell was known as like what was it like Mr. Saturday or something. So
Yeah.
I think his like strength is in qualifying, so maybe he could. But I think it's interesting that he's put Perez second because obviously it's Perez's like home race and none of us have even mentioned him. Like,
Yeah, this is true. His dad will be somewhere ultimately. That is true. Like, what are our expectations for Sergio today? Because I know I put him second in my personal prediction. And a lot of people have got him high, sort of like on the podium at least in the chat. But what are we expecting from him today in front of his home crowd?
I think second is kind of the limit, I think, for Sergio. Over the course of the season as well, you're looking at the championship and you're like, okay, he's in the same car as Max Verstappen. But if you look at that gap between first and second in the Drivers' Championship, he's not even in second, he's in third behind Leclerc. Like, considering you've had that Red Bull car. It's only 2 points to Leclerc.
Yeah.
They're still behind Leclerc. And we've talked about how Leclerc's had multiple different issues. Ferrari have thrown points away. And yet we haven't really had that with Sergio. He just hasn't quite had that pace. But I don't think he's in Red Bull for that, is he? He's clearly a number two.
No, he knows what he signed up for. And it must be so frustrating for him, you know, when you've got such a delta to your teammate. And also, like, both Ricciardo and Perez, drivers with quite similar like stints in Formula One. Perez, I think, had 1 year longer, because I know Daniel was in like a messing around at the back in HRT at the start. Like, it must be so frustrating as an experienced driver to look at your younger teammate. That must be a hit to the ego, surely.
It is. It's like it's like anything, isn't it? I imagine it's like if you're in any sort of workplace and if your boss is like, you know, a bit younger than you, you go, well, what happened to me? Do you know, you do kind of think a little bit like that.
You're speaking from experience. This sounds too real, mate.
A couple of times. No, I think it must play on, and I think it puts in your head, it puts more pressure on yourself to prove yourself, which is why maybe he hasn't really performed to what. Well, has he performed? Like, what did you really expect from Perez? You know,
I think honestly, I think I was sorry, just like this. To be honest, Like, I think with the problem with Red Bull as well, like recently, you know, with like Gasly and Albon, has just been that they can't necessarily rely on a second driver to be up there helping. Yeah. And at least Perez has managed to do that.
I think it's slightly different when you look at Perez and Ricciardo, though. I think they're a good comparison, but they were definitely on two different trajectories when they changed team, right? Like, Perez was going into Red Bull, kind of knew that Max Verstappen was going to be the number one. I think Red Bull probably told him what kind of role he was going to be in.
Yeah,
Daniel Ricciardo was moving away from an incredible season in a Renault, and he thought he was moving into a McLaren team that was going to be able to like push him up the grid and possibly get him back on the podium. Because that's why he left Red Bull, right? He left Red Bull. He wanted to build a team.
He wanted to
himself.
Gamble on another project to make him the lead driver to then win a championship.
Sergio Perez, it was like, Red Bull offered you a seat when you were actually going to be out of Formula One. Daniel Ricciardo was like, I want to be a world champion. I'm going to move to a team where I think I can build a team around me. And then he's just kind of been done by Lando Norris.
But it's funny though, like, because 2020, they were both in top-end midfield cars. They were split by one position. They were very close in points. Obviously, Daniel was in the Renault. Sergio was in the Racing Point. And they were both, like, outside of, you know, Lewis and the guy scrapping at the front, they were two of the strongest drivers. You know, Daniel got 2 podiums, Sergio got a win. Like, at that point, and they're very similar in age as well, their careers had, Sergio had always been in midfield cars. Daniel had been in a Red Bull, been winning races, right? But at that stage, in that year, they were very, very relatable, I guess, in terms of their relative position. And then obviously since then, look, I'm sure Red Bull were very happy. Like, ultimately, and I think it's right for them to not want a driver that's going to really take it to Max, because, you know, you look historically and typically having a second driver who really battles the lead driver can end up. I mean, that almost cost Vettel the championship in 2010 because Webber was fighting himself, or vice versa. You know, that did cost Webber the championship. Fernando could have snuck in and taken it from both of them. So. Got to be strategic, but let's have a look at the starting grid, lads. Let's get the old starting grid up.
Because we're a minute and a half away from the race starting.
Yeah,
we crept up on us already.
Carried away with this. I just love chatting. Verstappen ahead of George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Valtteri Bottas. Look at him.
The power of the porridge. I said it before we came on air. 6th position in the Alfa Romeo. Very impressive from him.
And your boy Lando, P8 as well.
Yeah, boy Lando in P8. Hoping for a P6 again today. I think that's pretty much the max that we can hope for.
And then Ricciardo P11. So actually, as it's lining up, you've got the Alpines both in a McLaren sandwich. That's going to come down to the line, I think, in terms of constructors. What do we reckon? Prediction for the end of the season: Alpine versus McLaren. Who's getting more points? Your bias, so I'm not going to. I'm going to ignore your answer. What do we think, though? Genuinely.
Alpine have had the quicker car. I'll say it. I'll say it, even though I don't want to believe it in my heart. They've had the quicker car. Fernando Alonso has been very unlucky, especially first half of the season. Like, he said it himself. Well, Fernando Alonso being Fernando Alonso said he probably should have been battling for the title this season because it's Fernando Alonso.
Look, only 11 points between them as well.
49 to 138.
When you've got two drivers that are so consistent in that Alpine, when they haven't had issues with the car, both drivers have delivered.
Yeah.
Whereas Lando Norris, I feel, has drag that McLaren along in some of these races. And the gap between Lando and Ricciardo is just so big at this point. Like when you've got, I feel like, you know, when you look at the championship, there's kind of that Bottas barrier. He's just been in there. he's been in 10th place. He did really well. He did really well for the first 6 races of the season. Got himself into the top half and was like, that's it.
That's it.
I'm done going on holiday.
Yeah, that is it. Bottas just stopped performing from like Monaco onwards because he knew he was in the top half. And like you've seen slowly Ocon's like taking him over. Then Alonso's got up in front of him. But like Vettel, Ricciardo, they're still behind Bottas, and Bottas is still in that 10th place spot, even though we've talked about this Alfa Romeo and how terrible it has been over the second half of the season. Like I think Frederic Vasseur was the best. He came out and he was like, yeah, we've had a lot of problems. We've had technical issues, we've had mechanical issues, we've had Latifi.
Classic Prince. Yeah, that was a good line actually.
Yeah, briefly, obviously Austin was a big one as well, like a big turning point for that battle, because we obviously had the overturning of the penalty for Fernando, bringing back into the points again, which obviously would have helped McLaren a lot. If
The right decision in the end. I think
so
you
as
can't
well, to be
punish
honest
the
with you.
team for the steward's incompetence. I think that's
if they should have brought him in at the time.
That's
but
harsh.
regardless, we're on to the formation lap.
Yeah, and also
moment.
noticing the tyre strategies. So Max is starting on the soft, yet Lewis and George are both starting on the medium. So Max is definitely hoping to check out early doors. He starts I don't know if Max is exceptionally good or exceptionally bad at starts. I think he's okay. I don't think it's...
Do you think that's got something to do with obviously like first being like in pole position's not that great here? That one on the soft.
I was going to say it's a long run down.
Yeah.
So if you can get a good launch straight off the bat, which you'll get obviously with the softs, that's going to help you.
And Pirelli's saying that the one stop is viable, so maybe, you know, that does definitely lock Verstappen into a 2-stop.
Yeah.
Starting on the softs. Maybe Mercedes try something different. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something.
Makes
And
it
look-
interesting.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's what we're here. That's what we're here for.
Do you think Mercedes,
Right.
because they've got both cars just behind Verstappen, they're going one strategy with one car, one strategy with another,
Yeah.
just
their hand.
needs to get a win this season at some point.
Yeah, George,
it.
you know what to do, mate.
Both Mercedes
on.
up there. Obviously, look, Sergio's P4, so he's certainly not out of the mix. But obviously, having both Mercedes close together should hopefully help their chances.
We're hoping that it helps their
To actually
chances.
make this race a bit interesting, because as much as Max has been incredible this year, it would be nice to not just see him just walk away in these last few races. Unless, of course, you're a Red Bull fan, you might like that, and that's fine.
But even like I like Max, but I don't want to see him like run away with it. Like now
Every
he's won
single
it.
weekend.
Now
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
won
yeah.
it, right? He amazing, right? But now I want to see some interesting racing.
Let's just have some
We
good
wanna
races.
see-
We're hoping for a good race here today, and if you're hoping for one as well, now is the time to like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. All right, if you're enjoying the show so far, we are on the grid and ready for a start.
3,
the lights are illuminating.
5. Come on, let's
We are
go.
underway.
Good start, Max. Very good start, Max. Very good start, Max.
But
But so
Mercedes
Mercedes
tucking
are
into that
close.
slipstream
Yeah.
already, straight off the bat.
Sergio's creeping.
Perez could start as well.
Sergio's creeping, yeah.
Oh,
Sergio Perez on Lewis. Russell
about-
going around the outside, but he's
4
not going to
wide
make
at the
it
back.
stick.
oh, it's clean. Oh, the Mercedes. Lewis gets ahead of George. But George carries on.
Nudges him
No,
off.
that's it. Lewis gets
On
George.
the exit of the chicane, Lewis ahead of George Russell then.
He's opened the door for Perez as well, though.
Kind of, yeah, you're right.
How much research has I done in a pole position being terrible at the start?
Yeah, and then here we are.
Now I look like a dummy.
Perez gets ahead
Perez
of
on-
George.
Oh, poor, first few corners ready for George.
George L. For sure.
George L. Lord
Ferraris
Russell.
alongside each other. So Leclerc's got ahead of Bottas. Where is Bottas? Down
That's
P8.
out.
P8, oh, Valtteri.
The barrier's been broken.
Could have been. The barrier's been blasted. And big movers like Stroll up to P15. Go on, Lance.
Ferraris
He
together.
does. He's good off the start, Lance. He is.
Yeah.
Very good off the start.
Norris, Lando down into P10 as well, and both the Alpines ahead. Which is again bad for that battle that we were talking about for P4 in the construction.
That's it. And both Williams back at the back again.
That's a shock.
Magnussen, with literally without a gearbox, is currently ahead of him.
Yeah.
He literally had gearbox problems. They were like, "Yeah, stop the car. Come in, mate. We're not starting you." And he's ahead of them now.
Alonso P7. Yeah, look, great start for Fernando as well.
Yuki on the edge of the points. He's gained 2 places as well.
Yeah, Max has already built up a gap.
Yeah, I've just clocked the lead that Max has got. Wow.
I mean, look, he's on the softer compounder tyre, so
Yeah,
What
exactly.
you would expect.
there's there's still a race here, I think. We'll see, but yeah.
George as well dropping 2 places straight away. It's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened there. If we get a replay, but it's just like, it just when it comes to the race, it's just not as strong as qualifying.
Yeah,
A
Lewis
little
saw
bit
an
of caution
opportunity.
after the incident last week. I don't know.
That's what you said, JB. Like, I think George tried to really defend that position from Lewis, and that compromised him, and then that gave Checo an opportunity to.
Yeah, Lewis just closed the
Kick your
door on him.
battles.
And
Also, Perez is on the soft as well, so both Red Bulls started on the soft. Both Ferraris started on the soft as well, so that explains
Nice bit of aggression from the 2 Ferraris. We'll see how that plays out. Big slide there from the Alpine of Alonso. That's the chicane.
That's the thing.
These corners, by the way, absolutely shaft them every single time I drive them on the game. Get out of there.
Does the
Terrible.
game
That middle sector.
does the game simulate there being less downforce on this track compared to?
Definitely not.
probably.
Nah.
It should do.
Come on, Codis, pull your finger out, mate. Come on.
I think they've got the manager game out now. That one, mate.
Yeah. Not that you'd know. I mean, they're glitching into each other all the time. I'm sorry. I love you, F1 manager, but
It definitely caught a few teams out on Friday, though, the lack of downforce, especially with the new aero. Like, you saw a lot of teams not quite getting it right on Friday. So maybe there's a couple of teams that still haven't quite got the balance right. And
well, I think when they asked Lewis like why they've been competitive, he was just like,
Don't know me.
"Don't ask me. I ain't got a Scooby." As Verstappen puts fastest lap in.
It's interesting that are the top 4 out of DRS between each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
they'll get.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I suppose that's why Max, put the soft on early, try and build a gap.
Just get out of there, basically. You
Yeah.
don't have to deal with anyone attacking from behind.
But again, because the air's thinner, there's also less of a dirty air effect. So he kind of takes away because there's less dirty air, but then also there's less slipstream.
Yeah.
So it kind of, you should be able to follow closer in the corners, but it'd be more difficult down the straights to actually make an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, George should have just, he ran a bit wide onto the Astra. That compromised his pace, didn't it?
Got such a bad run out of that chicane just because of being on the outside of Lewis.
Especially as Checo was on the softer tyres as well. George just kind of had to concede that one.
goes wild.
Yeah, can you imagine being Perez, like how that must feel every time you just overtake someone? Even one of the back markers, and they're like, yes!
That is a
Successful
vibe.
pit stop. The crowd's like, what?
There was a lot of, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a few articles talking about actually the drivers being a bit, like, the fan reception has been amazing, but especially in the paddock, like, I think a lot of the drivers have felt a bit uncomfortable because fans just sprinting over, pushing in front, trying to get their selfie.
Yeah.
Like, it's great that the sport, but I think the sport also has like a responsibility to protect the drivers a bit. And like, it's not like before a football game, you can go around, like, go into the dressing room and like, hello, mate.
Hello, lads. Expect a good performance from you today, John. Thank you very much.
That's a good point, actually. I saw a video on Twitter, and I think it was Lewis Hamilton walking through the paddock, and there was literally like 4 Mercedes guys that had to like shelter him from these people that were running towards him. And usually, like, yeah, as you say, when you get to work, you kind of want to get straight in, be in the garage, be prepared. Whereas it looked like he was sort of fighting his way to the Mercedes garage.
Christian Horner trying to attack him.
Yeah, they're all in Red Bull coats. Don't know why they're outside the Mercedes garage.
Industry plants. I've seen some replays of the, everyone kept it clean though.
Yeah. Sergio got so close, by the way, to the back end of George. Not
Wait,
gonna lie.
has Kevin Magnussen got his front wing end plates? Yes, he does.
He does.
It's a miracle. Literally, like 1 in 6 races this season, he's lost a front wing end plate. Or not lost it enough to get a meatball flag.
Yeah, a meatball flag.
Look, Lewis is keeping that gap to Max, 1.5 seconds. So Max certainly isn't checking out, but I guess maybe he's also conserving. It's hard to tell. We don't know when teams are conserving tyres, so it's far too early on in the race to make any big...
We've got a trainer Fernando here. I love Fernando. The trainer Fernando.
Bottas is thinking about a move there. Top 6, that's a 3-second gap between Leclerc P6, Fernando P7. So
Where did Lando start?
P8. So I lost 2 places off the line.
yeah,
I think this is to
Ricciardo
both the
P13
Alpines.
as well.
Alonso, by the way, must have just got a crazy start. He went from 7th to 9th, isn't it? No, 9th to 7th. All the way around.
I just believe that Ricciardo's just collecting the bag now. Like, he just doesn't care. Like, 13th.
Honestly, I hear it, to be honest. If I was him, I'd just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Also, got some exciting intel. And I don't know if we've seen this. I can't remember last time we saw this at Mexico City Street Circuit. We might have before, but apparently, according to the FIA, there's a 40% chance of rain.
Oh, 40.
Really?
40.
It
That's a big
rains
number.
Yeah, that is big.
Did we see rain at
Have
Mexico?
we ever seen rain in? No, we've definitely not ever seen rain in Mexico. Have Mexico ever seen? No, it's not.
I don't. I don't.
It's just hot.
I don't remember.
It's not a desert.
Yeah, no, it's not. It literally isn't.
Well, look, I hope for all the fans because that stadium is not covered. It's not like the Olympic Stadium that West Ham play at, the fishbowl. We've got a nice cover over, but it's fine. But not quite the same at the baseball. So hopefully for the fans it doesn't rain, but for us hopefully it does. It's like usually spice things up.
Yeah, well,
Usually.
Lewis has closed the
Usually.
gap there a little bit.
Yeah, fastest lap in it for Lewis now. 1.1 seconds the gap instead of 1.5.
Interesting.
He's got just over a second back to Sergio.
Yeah, Bottas is keep. I said that's what I mean. He can keep close in the corners, but not got that pace.
It looks like the top 6 are running away, doesn't it?
They're checking out, yeah.
Because also I think the engine's like overheating's been a bit of an issue as well. Because I guess there's less oxygen in the air to then go boom. So big. I mean the louvres on the Alpine are. Whoa, it's like a radiator. It's mad. It was good though. But and yeah, Tsunoda's moved up to P11 as well.
My boy Yuki, come on.
Got
The main man.
Have you met Yuki?
I've not met Yuki.
Not yet. Surely Lando can sort you out. Like.
I would like that very much. Yuki is my boy. Yuki's my man. He just seems like the funniest guy.
What do you make of his performance this season?
Good question.
To be honest,
Yeah.
Dan last season. Faster,
Yeah.
definitely. However, still a bit incident prone. Stop being in it, Yuki. If you're watching, doubt you are at this point, realistically.
I think he's busy.
Tuning the radio in the middle of the wheel.
It's got the radio do that.
Where you're like full lock, we're like upside down. No, wasn't it last week when who was it? Was it Rachel Brooks asked Lance? She was like, "Oh, have you spoken to Fernando yet?" He was like, "He's still racing. He's on the
Still
track."
out there, lads. What are you talking about?
It's Lance on the radio. Fernando, you took me out.
You're a pagan, mate.
Yeah.
Imagine the scenes. But yeah, no, I think he's been quicker, but there's still. I mean, I was there at Canada for the race.
That's
That's
can't be
a
happening.
golden rule broken.
Yeah. Out
Who's
of the
this?
pit lane,
Having
you
a-
simply cannot crash.
Oh, Ricciardo going for the switchback on
Guan
Joe
Yu Zhou.
Guan
Go
Yu.
on, Danny.
Didn't
Go on.
quite make it done.
It's all right. If we're being honest, Daniel, you don't even have to do this because in the next 10 minutes, that Alfa Romeo is going to blow up. Like, it's going to break down.
And Vettel's going to get him in a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
I think going back to Yuki, did you hear the Helmut Marko interview where he was basically talking about Nick de Vries being the number 1 at AlphaTauri next year?
Ooh.
And that doesn't really bode well
Really?
for Yuki.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Helmut Marko.
To be honest, I hear it.
who
though,
loves
as well.
a headline.
Like low key. Like I love Yuki, but like De Vries is a established driver in the world of FIA accredited motorsport. I know he's not been in F1 for a full season.
Yeah, I
I
guess,
feel like he is going to beat Tsunoda ever so slightly.
no, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if he beat Tsunoda. I don't think he would, but I wouldn't be surprised. However, for Helmut Marko to come out and say that publicly
crazy, yeah.
is a bit. Is that just his way of like trying to motivate Tsunoda?
I think I'd just cry. Like, if I was Tsunoda. I think, is
Cam ain't built for this.
is it 2 or 3 years Tsunoda's been in?
Next year will be his
3.
third.
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. Like, you've been in for nearly 3 years, and the person, like, I know, obviously, you're saying very established he is, of course.
Yeah.
Same point as Latifi this season, I actually think he has. De Vries, doesn't he? I'm not sure. But I think I'm unsure, because I feel like Tsunoda will just kind of drop to the second driver. I'm not too sure.
I hear it. I do hear it, but yeah, you're right. It's like it is a bit of a mad thing to
Yeah.
say, like when your driver's literally there.
Yeah.
Like he's like, yo,
But
what?
that's sometimes that's the management style that certain team principals we've seen that with Gunter. He's been very open about with his criticisms, even Gene even more so, of Schumacher, and that's still not. They've still not kind of tied a bow on that one. That's the one seat that's left. Hulk or Schumacher.
I think especially when it's an establishment like Red Bull, and we've talked about already how Max is effectively the poster child for Red Bull for the next, 10 years probably at this point.
For sure.
So like the best you can hope for as someone part of that Red Bull system is to come in as a second driver to Max Verstappen.
Which is why Gasly didn't see his future in that team, where I think Albon probably thought I might as well gamble on something like Williams, and Look, whether there was an opportunity to go back to AlphaTauri, I don't know, but it's a fair point. Should we? Oh, Ricciardo makes a move on Joe.
Ooh, yeah,
He's done
Ricciardo
it.
up the inside, P12.
Yeah, nice.
The TV watch, by the way, has made a move on Magnussen. Just want to put that out. It's not coming on the screen.
Is Magnussen going backwards?
He has indeed.
Magnussen must have surely, like Magnussen's 2 seconds off Latifi, and Latifi is 3 and a bit seconds off Schumacher.
Yeah, Magnussen has like 2 gears max. Like, he started in gear 2, went up to gear 3, and was like, "Yeah, no, I'm done."
I reckon both front wing end plates are like this.
Yeah. You know what it is? He's not used to having them both on. So he's actually, the aerodynamics are all over the place for him.
Ooh,
That's a move from
contact there.
Stroll on Gasly, I think.
Yeah, bit of bumping of wheels, but once again, Aston Martin looking quicker in the race than they were in qualifying, which has happened quite a bit this year.
Yeah, to be fair, they've actually made a lot of progress. They were literally at the back, weren't they? They're 14th and 15th now, which is, not too bad.
Yeah, I remember that Saudi. Obviously, Vettel missed the first couple of races, didn't he? But that was a really poor start to the season. They're looking better now. Shall we get? Oh, Benji thinks Ham's going to win the race. Well, listen, if we'll see. We'll see.
He's staying within touching distance, but it's not.
We'll see. Appreciate the super chat, Benji. Appreciate that. But I mean, look, we've said this numerous. I feel like we've done quite a few of these shows now. The amount of times I was fully on board with Lewis winning last week. I can't lie. I've already thought it was going to happen. We've been here before. So let's just, keep it level. But yeah, so far, the spread at the front. So we've got Verstappen ahead by 1.5 to Lewis. Perez another 2 seconds back. Russell another 2 seconds back. Sainz another 4.5 seconds back from
Ferrari
Russell.
are nowhere, aren't they?
They are struggling.
Yeah.
They are Mercedes for this race.
And we've not even
what we've seen this year.
And we've not even had their tactical shambles yet. So
Interesting. Literally, it is like Mercedes Ferrari role reversal this race.
Yeah, it literally has. Yeah. Alonso still holding it down in P7, holding up everyone. Fernando, not in a bad way, but he's just holding it down. Do you know what I mean? There's always that one guy who's just like, head of the train.
Down.
Yeah. But I think see, Fernando's been in the news recently because of the little social media moment between himself and Lewis. What do we make?
Did you see the post Lewis did?
I believe
Absolutely outrageous.
we might have a graphic of that post
Of the tweet. Yeah, I believe so.
up on screen shortly. Because so basically this was Lewis's response to Fernando basically. Now, I've personally not verified the article.
Bits and pieces. I mean, Fernando Alonso effectively said that Max Verstappen's titles kind of mean a bit more because Lewis Hamilton only had to battle his teammate.
Right.
So he's kind of taken away from Lewis Hamilton's title, saying, well, you only had to beat Bottas. Whereas Max Verstappen this year has had to beat Leclerc.
Valtteri, man.
He's like... yeah, if anything, it's a dig at Valtteri Bottas.
Actually.
He's the man who should really be tweeting.
Just gets his arse cheeks out again.
That maybe.
On the timeline. I don't know. Yeah, it's I think that tweet's jokes. The thing is about it, and I know a lot of people will go crazy and say, "Oh, you're being disrespectful, Lewis." But I just like these sorts of things.
Yes,
I like
funny.
this shit
It's funny. It's not that
It's just
deep.
funny.
It's not. None of it's that deep.
Yeah.
I don't like Fernando's comments. I don't think they're
Even
that
if
deep.
it was the other way round, I'd be like,
Bro,
it's literally just, it's just a bit of banter. Do you know what I mean? It's
like I
funny.
think stuff between drivers, like I can't think of many times where I've not just been like, you know what, like they're sports people, like their characters, personalities. I don't have a problem with that. I think if drivers are firing shots at maybe their team, that's where I've had like Fernando in the past. I didn't like the way that he was very critical of the team, even if the team had let him down. I think it's like this team's like it can be like 1,000 people all like working their asses off. I think when it's like banter between like these guys know each other. Yeah, they've been racing together since 2007. Like come on, like it's not that deep. I don't think.
Fernando's really good at getting himself like people talking about him as well. It's like
and I love that side of him.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's what we kind of like. A big part for some people watching F1 is because the raw, unfiltered personalities of the drivers too, right? Like compared to other sports where they're like pushed away and there's no personality. That's what you want to see with F1. You want to see people kind of like you say, it's not like malicious. It's just kind of like funny, the comments that he's saying in the media. Yeah. He probably doesn't even mean them.
And also, like, we're entitled to our opinions as fans. Like, the drivers are entitled to their opinions. And, yeah, like, sometimes it will, like, piss someone off. But, like, Come on.
The game is the game.
It's like, did you see the Ted Kravis when he said about Lewis got cheated or something?
Yeah.
So he said robbed.
In the notebook.
I think robbed was the words.
Key words, yeah.
Yeah. He said that, and then Max has came out, and I think the whole of Red Bull have come out and said they're not going to do it.
Yeah. What do we make of that as well? Because I think the Alonso Hamilton stuff, like that for me, I don't think personally it's that deep, but I think obviously when it's Sky Sports, it's Ted's obviously representing, and obviously we know this argument goes both ways, right? There's very strong feelings on both sides. I don't know, because obviously Max, he rejected like talking to Netflix as well at the start for Drive to Survive. I think now he's a bit more open to that. But does the driver have? I haven't really thought about it too much, so I'll leave it to you lot.
I think it's one of those things, isn't it, with like media stuff, and we see it in lots of sports, like Liverpool and the Sun is the one that always comes up, right? Like pretty much every single year that comes up at some point. And like maybe it is just we're going to see Max Verstappen versus Sky, and it's just going to be like not anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Hang on. Bit of a scrap going on.
A little bit of a scrap there between Gasly and Stroll. Ended up in the car park after that overtake.
Vettel and Gasly, sorry. Not
was it Vettel?
Vettel and Gasly, yeah.
Is that Albon?
No, it's Stroll. It's Stroll. He's P16.
Albon's right behind.
Oh, my bad. I saw Gasly move down.
Oh, no.
I think it's also tricky though with like Red Bull coming out and saying that they're not going to do any Sky Media either.
Yeah.
Especially when
in like solidarity with their driver.
Yeah, with solidarity with their driver, which I appreciate, but also like the past couple of weeks they've had, they kind of need to come out and kind of gain some friends again, because they've been a big talking point in Formula One for like probably the last month. Like I've got a podcast and we change the title depending on which team we talk about most.
Yeah.
And it's been Red Bull every single week for so long, because it just feels like they're either at the top of the media attention because they're winning things, or they're at the top of the media attention because obviously the cost cap stuff, bits and pieces now with Max Verstappen, like they're just always a talking point.
Yeah, front and center.
I don't think like Christian Horner can go a minute without talking to Sky though. Like I feel like he loves the camera too much to not want to talk to Sky.
He does do a lot of Sky media.
Because it's always like we'll go down now to a and then a crew chief down on the pit wall. Christian Horner, we've got by some coincidence.
Also, interesting race update. So Max has just been told by GP that he needs to break the toe from Lewis. Now Lewis is still within 1.5 seconds, not necessarily DRS, but break the toe, because the toe goes back way more than 1 second. So Red Bull, we'll see if Verstappen can get the hammer down now. I know that's Lewis saying. And if Lewis can keep up, I guess. That's,
well, those softs haven't really given that much of an advantage. Well, a little bit, but like not a...
Perez is 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's off the lead. But
yeah, unless he's consolidating the tyre. Again, it's hard to say. But also, we've got a couple of super chats. Shout out Ash. Any chance of a Merc W is always by Lewis Hamilton, George Russell. No way. Yeah, George lost out big time, didn't he? Losing that position to Perez. I think he would be a lot closer. But I think, wasn't it Austin? I think Lewis's race pace was actually quite comfortably quicker than George's from what I've seen anyway.
Yeah.
And, cheers, Benji again. Benji back again.
Benji Redebi. Great name, by the way.
Someone, don't be so negative. And what do you mean? No, look, so I'm just a skeptical kind of guy, right? As Albon, look, I can be positive. Albon's trying to make a move on Stroll. Go on, Alex. Come on, son.
He's got a good run actually out of here, or a decent one. DRS open. Stroll was like moving up with Seb, and then has kind of just fallen off a cliff again. I don't know whether he's struggling with pace or whatever, or struggling with tyres. Sorry.
Get him. Come on, Alex. You can do it.
It's not overtaking it through here.
Come on. No, come
it's
on.
Gone.
It's coming. No.
We're waiting for the next lap.
Don't be so negative now. That one's for you, Ben. That one's for you, Benji. That one's for you, man.
Max has just pumped in the fastest lap of the race, by the way. Lewis was catching him. Everyone was
still
like,
1.8. Still 1.8.
The race could be back on. No, it's just.
But you see how he's been told to break the toe, then he just breaks it. It's like that's what makes us think, is it just going to be an easy kind of run for Max today?
It's just been so easy for Max all season, hasn't it? It's like whenever he's needed to turn it on, it's felt like he has been able to.
Because he's that good. Like when you're that good, you can make it look easy. And that's the thing. I think like Ferrari have been, like, the history books will forget how close Ferrari's car performance has been to Red Bulls this year, but they won't forget how quick Max has been and how incredible, and like every opportunity he's taken pretty much this year.
We only have to look at qualifying, right? Like Ferrari have the better qualifying pace. Like Ferrari have got 12 pole positions this season, which I think is their best return ever, apart from maybe 2004.
Mad.
If I'm getting the stats in my head right. I think it's the best season in terms of qualifying that Ferrari have had. And yet they're just nowhere near in the races, are they?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, even though Verstappen's starting second, third, fourth, he always managed to get himself up there. And I mean, like, he's just equaled the most wins in a season with Vettel and Schumacher.
Yeah,
right?
and he's obviously on a streak as well in terms of wins in a row. What is the streak right now, and how many more does he need to beat?
He lost.
He was on the streak.
Lost in
But Singapore P7, that broke the streak.
That was Sergio Perez who won. I know it was a Red Bull, and you probably got
Titted hell.
like
Titted out.
Bloody hell. Sorry, lads. Flipping heck. Disastrous wheel knowledge there for a second.
Well, look,
Yeah, okay. My
look,
bad.
because I did a video earlier this year talking about Seb's unbeatable record of 9 in a row, and I was worried that it was a huge jinx. But thank you, Sergio, for saving me from that one. Also, Max has reported that he's struggling with bouncing, which we haven't heard about.
With dancing.
Bouncing.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, if he was, I'd understand why he's
Max,
struggling.
stop dancing in the car.
I would firmly understand if he was struggling with that, quite honestly.
he's so comfortable that he's going to win this Grand
That's what I
Prix.
mean.
He's
Just
just chatting about other things.
Busting out gun fingers in the car, in the cockpit.
We haven't really, because that's the thing, like the whole porpoising bouncing thing. The FIA kind of talked a big game about punishing the teams, and we haven't really spoken about it recently. So whatever they did do has certainly done the job, even though they're still adding 15 mil to the ride heights for next year to battle that. Like, we're not seeing, I'm looking at an Aston Martin and a Williams right here, and they
Pretty
look
smooth
as you like.
That was crazy, by the way, back in sort of like, it was before Canada,
Yeah.
wasn't it, I think? Like just before like first sort of 6 races of the season. I remember watching a Ferrari go down the straight in Spain. It was like watching a roller coaster.
Mate, Ferrari in
It was
Australia as well.
It was like
remember.
going to Alton Towers. Sorry, Karen.
No, you're right. It's a good analogy. It's mad.
Yeah.
Well, it was Lewis Hamilton in Baku, wasn't it? And he got out of the car and like properly held his back, and it was like,
Fair enough.
Actually,
Ricciardo as well.
wee
Gasly 5-second penalty, forcing another driver off track. So yeah, he did try and make a move up the inside of Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
Pushed him wide for sure. I'm surprised he didn't just give the position back, and he didn't. And now he has a 5-second penalty.
Albon's right on Stroll, isn't he?
Come on, Albon.
Alex Albono.
Come on, son.
Tommo's man.
You can do it, my boy. my man. Ooh, Stroll in the pit.
Roll in. Never mind.
Off the medium as well.
Bottled it. Absolutely no bottle from
He
the lap.
couldn't activate it, so I can't deal with having the greatest to ever do it behind me.
I saw the Williams in the mirror. Was like, absolutely not, boys.
Lawrence Stroll's just going to punch him when he gets in. Straight in the face.
Oh, dear.
It's an all right pit stop. Onto the softs, though, so that's a 2-stop, surely.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I
literally,
mean.
He started on the softs, so yeah.
Oh, he was on the mediums.
medium, yeah.
Started medium. Pitted off the medium
Seb
from-
was on softs, he was on mediums, yeah, sorry.
The Aston Martin just must be struggling on those mediums. Because for him to take, like everyone else on the soft is still.
Yeah, no, he was on
Yeah,
mediums.
look, Gasly's just got to give that back,
I
hasn't
mean, yeah, that's...
he? That's as back clear as a 5 second as I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. But there you go. But then so was.
Could have just given the place, I guess, because Albon was there, he was like, oh, I don't want to lose 2 places.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
a different one.
But I think losing 5
Jack
seconds.
saying
probably
too harsh, kind of hear it.
Too harsh.
Rough and ready racing, man. Just start boshing each other halfway through the race. Boom. Let's make it touring cars.
Bonk. Science is almost 10 seconds off the back of Russell now.
They're struggling, aren't they? Well, not struggling, but struggling compared to them.
They are. I mean, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Plan
here
C.
we go. The plans have started for Ferrari. I'm convinced they make them up through the race.
Oh yeah, they get. There's no way you come into a Grand Prix and you're like, I've got 12 plans.
Right, everyone?
Like, just-
Do we all remember what Plan G is? No.
Just in the car, like,
On the steering wheel. Like,
It's interesting, though, that Ferrari clearly aren't able to make the soft tyre work. Aston Martin, with Stroll anyway, weren't able to make the medium tyre work. So there doesn't seem to be much... And look, Lewis is still, 2.3 off of Max? I'll tell you what, race pace-wise, the Mercedes are looking good. I guess it just depends do they roll the dice with a 1-stop on a hard tyre?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you
If
think
it
we see
rains
him
as well?
go for that hard tyre? Just
40% chance? I like those odds.
40%.
Yeah.
Just
Because that's where I think you would kind of gamble. If there's a chance of rain, you've surely got to go one stop.
Realistic one, yeah.
And then if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then you need to grow up.
I'd
man.
hate
Sorry,
if you.
I wasn't even laughing at that, I swear.
What?
I'd hate for Tommo to be my race strategist because you're going intermediates already. I can feel
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Come on, guys. There's a 40% chance of rain.
doors.
Just to cover it, you know, it's
Yeah.
just...
What chat were you laughing at there?
I was plan C is the risky 5-stop. That's what risky 5-stop, by the way.
Bring back the hypersofts from back in the day.
Yeah, man. Do you remember when we were doing like 4 stops in
Yeah,
like
man.
2013?
The
Bloody
pink
hell.
tyres.
Yeah. Hypersofts, the Gigasofts.
I suppose we can't go much longer and not talk about the cost cap and the punishment for Red Bull. First, I mean, just to anyone, if you don't know, there's a $7 million, I believe it's dollars, fine for Red Bull, not taking out the cost cap, just a fine separate to that, and a 10% reduction of what they would have had in ATR, so wind tunnel CFD testing. So their allocation will go down from 70 to 63%. Does the punishment fit the crime? Is it setting a precedent that you boys are happy with? What are we thinking? Any strong opinions in the room, JB?
I mean, just when it comes, like, it's a 10% obviously of what they have, but then it actually turns out to be like 7% because of the fact that they only get 70% because of the fact they've won the Constructors Championship.
So they already had a lower allocation, so it's taken from that.
So it's already, and actually, like doing the maths on it, they lose out on about 21 wind tunnel runs over the course of the season, which like is a lot, and they obviously would have wanted, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's going to have that massive an effect, unless you're Christian Horner. Did you see the Christian Horner interview where he was like, those 20 wind tunnel tests are going to cost us half a second? And it was like, I'm not sure. Because like,
That's what he was saying, between a quarter and a half of a second, which I'm like, well, Williams have had 115% for the last 2 years, yet they're still at the back.
Yeah.
So
more percent than it is even possible.
I don't know how that maths adds up personally.
yeah, so Red Bull get 200 or 201 wind tunnel tests next season. Williams get 387. So I'm looking forward to Albon world champion next year because he's making up like 3 seconds over the course of those wind tunnel tests. So.
And make sure you like and subscribe to the last lap so you're here for it next season. Because I'm just going to be, if that was to happen, I would just be a mess. You'd have to like,
what would you do?
Take responsibility.
Like if that actually happened.
Serious thought.
Yeah.
It would be like mad, like screaming. Like there's receipts of me when Ocon won at Hungary. I love Esteban as well. He's one of my favourites, and the mic was blown out. It was like I went mad. It'd be that, and then I'd just cry. I think. yeah, I think I would. I'd be. I'm an emotional man, Cam. I'm an emotional man.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wear my heart on my sleeve. So
I respect it, mate. I respect
be
it.
here
right?
for it. We've seen a slow mo of Max Verstappen's tyres starting to grain a bit. Struggling in low speed. Struggling
even more in the low speed next season. Like. You know what it is? I think with the punishment, obviously, like I don't think I kind of hear it, but I also still think it could be harsher in the sense that I think you can, with that penalty, you can still kind of balance going over and going, is it worth losing 15 wind tunnel tests for the performance that will actually gain from this amount of spending?
I suppose the thing
you can still kind of balance the wrong to the punishment, I feel. It's not one of those, it's not a penalty where you can go, oh yeah, shit, I'm actually not going to do that.
They didn't go like crazy over the cost cap either. I know it was like once the tax was added, it was like 400k.
Yes.
Which I say only 400k. And
that's
obviously
a
quite a
couple of front
considerable
wheels
amount of money.
in F1.
Yeah.
Basically.
Only 400k, but like in the grand scheme of like Formula One, it wouldn't have made that much difference. And that 400k was split across 13 different sections in Red Bull. So like how much effect does that have?
Yeah,
Loads
I
of
saw
catering.
that. Catering, what are they
lot.
Well, because it's funny, because the catering thing started as like a bit of a rumour that didn't really have, well, it was just funny. But then actually Christian has mentioned like funds to do with catering in some way, shape or form. And like there's, look, these are businesses at the end of the day. Oh, left front doesn't want to turn for Max, apparently. Well, I mean, it's
Turning
It's
there.
turning. Yeah.
But it just stopped. It just didn't rotate.
sad
By the way, that left wing doesn't want to turn. Well, it's turning.
It doesn't want to.
Oh, okay, right.
You know, you make it do what it doesn't
It's
want to do.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, the actual amount they overspent for like it was 400k. Obviously, and it's their fault that they didn't do the
still.
tax rebate thing properly, right? So it was 1.8 is the official. How did they work out the 7 mil? Did they just take that because 1.8 times 4 is close to 7 mil? Is that
Is that what they did?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just assuming that's how they worked out 7 mil, but. I guess
Just
does
we
it?
like the number 7.
Oh, Sergio Perez is called into box. Let's watch this. Come on, Red
George
Bull.
was quite close to him, actually. He was only a second away when he actually came into the pit lane.
Come on, Red Bull. Good pit stop for Sergio.
Yeah, at his home Grand Prix.
this is the
Come
one-
on,
The
crowd are
let's
going
not let him
wild.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go, the crowd.
Oh, it's slow at the back left.
Oh, they haven't got it.
no.
Red Bull's
it's a
pit stops.
shocker.
Second week in a row.
5 seconds could be
Ferraris
worse. I don't know how they actually managed to.
That looked like
get-
more than 5
That
seconds.
looked like more
didn't
than
it?
5 seconds, actually.
But it wasn't.
They're
So-
getting egged in the paddock right now.
We're
Man.
outside again.
Yeah, rear left just didn't come off.
The crucial thing is he's still out ahead of Alonso, so he's
Yeah.
got a lot of clean air until he reaches Leclerc and Sainz.
True.
If he'd have ended up behind Alonso, then it would have been a bit more
Oh, yeah.
disastrous.
Yeah, Perez onto the mediums. See what happened. Is it one of those where the wheel gun just didn't?
Yeah,
he
the
couldn't
back one,
get
it
off?
just didn't come off. Yeah.
Oh, fuck's not his home race.
Anyway,
Anytime.
If that makes the difference of him getting on a podium, I will be fuming.
Surely if you
Yeah.
say, actually, no, you can't because Russell's on the medium. So I was about to say you pit him now to try and cover, but
Well, look, I mean, that Hamilton-Verstappen gap is now 1.6. And so it feels like Verstappen's maybe losing compound. Red Bull look like they're going to come out for Max now.
Sergio Perez got told plan B.
Oh, no, Verstappen's staying out.
Tiffy's in. The big news of that lap for
Oh,
me.
come on, Nicky. You can do it.
You can park it, lad. Don't worry. You can do it.
You're back into it.
3.5. Very average.
So
It's not like him.
the Alonso gap relative to Leclerc is about 9 seconds. So that's not actually grown much. Like 13 seconds between Sainz and Russell now. 13.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And they're meant to be on
Ferrari.
the nice sticky soft tire.
Yeah, Ferrari are in Formula B today.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Formula
yeah,
1.5.
man. Yeah, Formula 1.5, legit.
And actually, from a constructor's point of view, that's big because I think the gap's like 50 points between
Yeah, they can
Mercedes
still
and Ferrari.
pass them, yeah.
So actually, it looks like there's a late? I can't even think of what I'm trying to say, to be honest. A late, what's it in football when you get like a
A surge.
second
Surge.
second
Wind.
wind
Second wind.
content? My goodness.
All of the wind, all of the
definitely
time.
That's a great TikTok right there. That was just me struggling.
Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
Going back to the 7 mil though, I just wanted to get like the fact that it's not onto the cost cap.
Yeah.
For me, that's
For me, it's pointless.
It's just
It's a pointless
pointless.
fine. Yeah, I was literally about to say that.
Verstappen pits.
If you're going to do a fine of any kind, it has to then come out of the next cost or like the next budget, I guess. Because then that's actually going to affect them the next season. 7 mil, they're overspending anyway. They can afford 7 mil.
Well, that's the thing. I was
Mediums
looking
on
at it. I
Max's
think they
car.
spent nearly 500 mil in 2019, like before the cost cap sort of started to be talked about.
Red Bull had the money.
Mental. 500 mil.
Yeah.
Right. So for
They
example,
were really eating good back then, bro. The catering then was...
so Fred Vasseur has said that. Oh, actually, hang on.
Just quickly, Verstappen,
Verstappen
yeah,
coming
he's going
out.
to come out just ahead of Sainz.
Okay, ooh, that could have been a bit
Ferrari.
touch and go there. But Red Bull found the gap, pitted Max into it, and I feel like, this has to be a one-stop for Mercedes. And Benji, he's done it again.
Oh, flipping it. Please, no. But hi, Benji. Look, listen, there's a reason.
Forget F1 for a sec. What's going on with Liverpool? Good question. Come on, we've got 10 seconds of Liverpool chat.
10 seconds of Liverpool chat. We are shite, is what's going on. Mild injury problems, but we should still be beating Forest and Leeds. Actually, I was in, obviously, just before the American Grand Prix, I was obviously out in Austin. And the time zones are a bit mental there, obviously,
Yeah.
for the football. 6:30 I'm so glad I didn't wake up for it when we lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. We are
That is rough.
Although you're a Forest,
tragic.
you're from
I'm not in a
Nottingham,
man.
aren't you?
I'm not in a
Nottingham
man.
man, so-
Yeah. So there's a part of me that was like, okay, well, I'm ready to go, but I'll let you off this time.
Oh no. Okay, so Perez is going for the move.
Lunging into the stadium section. He just wants a big cheer from the
Yeah,
crowd.
he
He
does.
just wants a big cheer. I see through it.
Is there like
Sergio.
50,000 people or something just in the stadium section?
Yes. Yeah.
Wild.
Isn't
That's
that
so
mental?
sick. That's
That
great.
is mad. That is mad.
It's so unique, though, isn't it? You just drive through
Yeah.
like a stand.
So I mean, I know what you're saying at the start, Jay, but like it does kind of hinder. I think maybe they could make it a bit more less kind of fiddly, especially these big cars now. Here we go. Perez gaining big
Big.
on Leclerc, makes the move quite
That
comfortable.
feeling must be so good that he's just did there.
Yeah.
That was clear. Yeah,
Can I
that
just
Ferrari
say,
is struggling in a straight line,
The
man.
crowd noise just then, as he went through, was ridiculous. It was actually like a goal. Like, genuinely, it was like, oh! That was, Sergio then up into P5, past that Charles Leclerc.
Fastest lap as well.
Four and
If
a half
Perez isn't
seconds.
on the podium, I'm going to be quite disappointed.
Yeah,
That's what
it
I
has
mean.
to happen. It has to
I think
happen.
everyone wants that, don't they? At least a podium.
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. I need to see his
Bare
dad
minimum.
again on TV. So,
It was interesting, like before the weekend started, that everyone was like, "Well, Max, you've won the championship now. You got loads of points. So if Perez is in second, just maybe." And then Max Verstappen was like, "No,
that's not what we do around here.
no."
It's a good. I wonder as well how Checo, if that happened, so if it was a 1-2 and Max gave
Like pulled
Checo the
over.
win, I guess. I mean, to be honest, he probably just wouldn't care. He'd be like, "Yeah, fucking yes, have it, let's go," because that would be insane. I mean, we saw the scenes last year when he got P3. Like, imagine if he won the whole thing. That would be incredible.
It's not
I mean,
the same as well, though, is it? If like you're second and Max is first, and Max just goes, "Go by,"
yeah.
just like the crowd would be like, "Yeah."
Oh! Max Verstappen radio. The shifts are. I mean, I don't know what that swear word was, but I could assume. Problem with shifts.
Shit
Lot
for
of-
tits.
That'd be
he definitely said.
That's what I'm saying.
He definitely said tits. I'm sure.
Inside information.
A lot of drivers have. Again, this is part of the problem when you're racing at altitude. There's less oxygen going into the engine. The whole suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Way that internal combustion works. I did engineering at college.
Don't know about that sentence, but we continue.
It works different at altitude. All I'm
Bang
saying,
the
a lot of
squeeze.
drivers have struggled with drivability. And look,
Yeah, Lewis. Oh, he knows what he's talking about.
Lewis
this
just
Tommo
said it.
geezer.
listen, man, come on.
I thought this was just Tommo talking about his recent marriage.
Hannah, I hope you're watching. I hope you're watching. I hope you're. That was good. That was good. If you were close, I'll give you one. Oh, anyway, Albon P16. Let's crack on, yeah.
Let's go.
Angela's looking excited.
Fingers crossed
at
here.
the
I mean,
prospect,
Verstappen
yeah.
is obviously catching Russell on his brand new mediums,
Yes.
but
But yeah,
if Mercedes are trying a one-stop, hey, listen, they've got like a cheeky 17 seconds in hand with Lewis right now.
that's it. And if it does rain, 40% is a big number,
40%.
Cam.
Should mention that more.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Was the gap between Hamilton and Russell always 5 seconds? Like, is it,
Well, I
was
think
it
where
just been
Checo was
growing?
between them,
Yeah.
we didn't really see that. Yeah, but it's 5 seconds between Hamilton and Russell
Yeah.
as Leclerc comes into pit.
Onto a set of mediums. I love how shiny they are when they slap them on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how's that happen then?
They are, yeah.
He's going to end up in that massive crowd, by the way, in the midfield. Bottas is through, Alonso
You would
is
hope
through,
Ferrari
Ocon.
wouldn't do that to him, but then it is Ferrari.
No,
so-
they've done it to him. They have done it to him.
Yeah.
Quite literally, he's right
He's
behind
even
him.
behind Ricciardo.
Oh, bloody hell.
Christ.
Yeah, P12 on track. Ricciardo half a second behind Tsunoda.
Sergio now pushing Sainz through
look,
the hairpin.
right, okay, so look, I think especially us as like F1 creators, right? Look, Ricciardo's had a difficult season as Hamilton is about to come into box. He is only, 4 seconds off Norris, which I think, given there's a car in between, given where they started, like race pace wise,
That's good. That's solid.
I
I'm not gonna lie.
affirm that Ricciardo's race pace hasn't been. It's getting that one lap performance out. As Hamilton has a 3.3 second pit
It's
stop.
a medium, by the way, that he slapped on, so it is a guaranteed two-stop for Lewis because he started on them.
Knowledge.
Knowledge of the
compound.
wheel.
Knowledge.
Knowledge of the wheel. It's a circle,
of
lads.
the wheel.
It's a circle.
Knowledge of the wheel.
Science
Thank you
in as
all
well.
It's shiny
Voth-
as well, you mentioned.
Voth
Yeah, see, he knows.
for the super chat. Out of the current F2 crop, who are you most excited to see in F1? That's from Voff with the super chat. Thank you.
Just a bit of a slow pit stop there, by the way, from Carlos Sainz, I believe.
Let's see how long.
Actually,
3.5,
not
yeah.
too bad.
Not great.
But yeah, what F2 field?
Are we allowed to talk about drivers who like probably will be in F1? Because Logan Sargent's coming in, obviously from F2.
Yeah.
So.
Let's discount Logan because it's probably guaranteed. And then of the rest of the field, so Doohan, Drogovic, Fittipaldi, etc.
I like Jack Doohan, you know.
Because Cam, have you followed any F2 at all?
Not that much, to be fair. No,
Yeah.
I'm strictly an F1 guy because I'm a casual. No, I'm joking.
Filthy casual.
I did like a few years back, but just I haven't got back into it lately.
Yeah, I fell out of love with
time-
it for a little bit because they messed with the format and I didn't like it.
Oh, that was horrible. They
But
were doing
this
like
year-
3 races a weekend for some
Yeah.
reason. That was terrible. This season's been a lot better. They've gone back to the old format again. And it's just very chaotic, to be honest with you, as F2, I feel. Like,
It's good-
obviously
it's good for chaos,
It is
though.
good entertainment, to be fair.
It's good. It's good for chaos.
You've got, what, Théo Pourchaire, realistically?
Yes.
He's one of the younger options. Alfa Romeo junior driver. He went into his second season. He's second in the championship, I want to say.
Yep, second.
Logan Sargent, American Don, going to be at Williams next season. Jack Doohan, Alpine junior,
Yep.
Australia. Had a good
The
season
new
this year.
Piastri. One Australian out, another in.
Allegedly, yeah. A 2 for the price of 1. Ricciardo's out. Boom, slap Piastri and Doohan in there.
Money. Well, he did FP1 in Austin, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Alpine have no drivers at this point in time.
they're just hemorrhaging drivers.
Yeah, they've just sacked them
crazy.
all off.
Yeah.
We had a discussion about it, didn't we? About how like they just seem to have lost all their junior drivers over the years. Zhou, when? Ocon, when?
Ooh, moment for Leclerc as well through the S's. Almost dropped it. Bit on the AstroTurf there, Charles.
I'm sure he was doing
Oh,
that in
pardon, mate.
qualifying quite a bit as well. Like I'm sure when they were going.
He shunted in FP2, didn't he?
Yeah.
Charles, man, come on, keep it clean. You know what? For me, I think of the F2 crop, the driver I'm most and look, Felipe won the title quite convincingly in the end, but I think Théo Pourchaire, given I know like it's his second season in F2, but given his age, because he is still like 19,
He's
like,
literally 12. It's mad.
and he had so many like technical failures. Like I think he was in terms of pace, I think he's right up there with Drogovic. So I'm really excited to see him in Formula One.
Yeah.
And George wants to put the soft on towards the end. Interesting. So yeah, double medium and then soft, although George is staying on. Yeah, George has stayed out as Lewis has come in for the hard tyre. So
I said earlier that Lewis was on the mediums because I swear
Yeah,
I
what
saw a
were
yellow
you-
ring. I swear I saw a yellow ring when he put them on.
No, he came in for the hards, I think.
there you go.
I'm bugging out, clearly.
So
they-
I'm having a
Do you reckon
stinker
they go-
today,
go
boys.
one stop,
Genuinely.
maybe?
Sorry, everyone.
Do you reckon they're just going for track position? Like they kind of know Max is probably on a 2-stop.
Yeah.
Try and put
Yeah.
Hamilton on a 1-stop. get him
Try
in
and
front,
defend.
and,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think it makes sense to split the drivers. If it works for Russell and it doesn't work for Hamilton or vice versa, like there's still a good opportunity to react to. But obviously Perez is he's only a second and a half behind Hamilton, so Sergio's still in that conversation. But this is why we need more than 2 teams fighting at the top,
Yeah.
and it's just Ferrari are nowhere this week. This is annoying.
I think Russell's probably playing into the 40% rain. Not gonna lie, I feel like he's waiting.
He's been watching the show. He's been tuning in. He's like, well,
Pretty good
Tommo,
odds.
hang on a
They're
second.
pretty good
wait.
odds, Cam. I like those odds, mate.
Russell's done that a couple of times this season though, where he's not specifically for 40%
Yeah.
rain, but where he's like waited for a safety car or like gambled on like a little bit of a long.
yeah.
And you know George will push for what he wants, And Alonso thinks is okay.
Lando's been in for hards, by the way, so he's down into P15 right now. But pretty much everyone in the midfield is has not pitted yet, so they're kind of where they started or where they were before. The 2 Ferraris right in the middle.
Albon watch P14.
On
Latifi
the move.
P20. 14 seconds
the
off the back
hards.
of Schumacher on the hards.
Ooh, that's Ooh,
So he has pitted. So that
Has
kind
Schumacher
of
pitted?
has Schumacher must have pitted. Surely 11 seconds off the back of Stroll. Surely.
What's Lewis's pace
Surely.
like with the hards?
Yes. It seems to be matching Verstappen. Like
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't seem too bad. He's just keeping like a constant gap of 1.8 behind him to Sergio.
I don't know, man. This is looking good for Mercedes so far, but I know I've just jinxed it by saying that. So
You
Jinx it. It's
bastard.
looking bad.
Max
It's looking bad.
Verstappen wins.
Record margin.
By 6 minutes.
Laps everyone.
Oh man. Anyone else? So Vettel up in P12, considering where they qualified, doing a pretty good job. Still on the soft tyres as well. Vettel making them last.
Did he start on those? Wow.
Pretty sure he did.
Yeah. I don't think he's actually
Pretty
pitted yet.
sure
Unless he's
Vettel
pitted-
started on
Well,
the-
no, he would be further down if he pitted. He'd be where Stroll is. So
32 laps on the soft tyre. That Aston Martin is...
tyre whisperer.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on, Seb. And Seb's performances recently, by the way, have been
So good.
stonkingly good.
Yeah.
Like, it's I'm sad, man. It's like he's I guess that's kind of the way you want to do it. You want to leave on a high.
Yeah.
Considering the success of his career as well. Like, it's nice to see that he is leaving because the way Ferrari ended, he couldn't have been happy with that. So it's nice to see Seb finish on a high. It's going to be sad to not see him on the grid next year.
I feel like everyone just loves him, don't they?
Yeah.
You can't not, man. You can't.
Just the guy.
And he has been turning up. Like the second half of the season, I was looking at like the average qualifying positions, and it's like the top 6, as you'd expect: Lando, Ocon, Alonso, and then in the top 10 is like Vettel. In terms of average qualifying position over the course of the season, I'm like, how has he snuck in there? Considering the Aston Martin was so
true.
bad.
Is a caravan.
But
Like,
he's
Shout
such
out Ash for the super chat as well. Hard's holding up well. Hamilton faster than Max on the last lap.
way like that. That's
Ash knows. Ash knows, right? Come on. Every time now they say the final lap, I'm like, that's wrong.
No,
It's not the commentary. I'm like, that's the last lap.
Do they not understand the branding?
And here we go,
George
Russell.
into the pit lane. I mean, if you're seeing the data of Lewis on the hards, Max and Verstappen, you go on hard, surely. They call one stop.
What is it?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it
Hards,
is.
it is. Are you sure? Niran? Are you sure? It's a hard lap?
That looks kind of yellow to me still.
Not that.
Sepia filter. So it's all right. Yeah,
Just blinded by the shininess.
Well, we are in Mexico, and Netflix love to put that flipping filter on anything when it's in Mexico. So,
True. True. No, that's fair.
Good pit stop for George as well, 2.7. There was a 2.3 for Ocon a second ago. How on earth
2.3?
do you do that? 2.3 seconds.
I think the quickest we've seen this year is like 2 flat, and it's like
Yeah, but they had to introduce a rule so that it was slower.
you're too
They were like, these pit stops are too fast.
Calm down.
because the wheels are so much heavier this year as well. That's what makes it most impressive.
Yeah,
Oh, Verstappen radio. Soft stint where life was of no concern at all, according to GP.
So basically, go as fast as you like, mate.
That's it.
Let's win this.
Push till the end. And obviously the cars get lighter the more you go round, so tyre wear in theory you got to get through the grading phase. It should be most at the start of the race. But yeah, because Cam, how much, obviously, as a fan who's known the sport for so long, like, how interesting do you find the more technical side of things? Because I know that can be like, it can go one or two ways. Like, I never used to be that interested in the technical at all, but I think the more I've kind of got into the sport, you know, since like 2017, I started to, you know, the shark fin era.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that stuff interesting? Because not everyone does, and that's fine. You know what I mean?
So I do, but being honest, I don't like have that much understanding of it. So with for instance, I know it's kind of like technical, but like with the cost cap stuff, just to say, I didn't really get it when it first came out. I was like, what is all of this kind of stuff? And then when I watch and I'm listening like the downforce and all that, I kind of have to get them to explain it, to be like, oh, that's what that means, that's what that means. But I have like a base knowledge of kind of everything, but I'm not like to the level of what you will.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting.
But even us, like, at the end of the day, we're not engineers. We're not racing drivers as much as we all want to be. This man can't even
I
drive.
can't even drive, bro. The reality is, like, even cars themselves are a bit of a mystery at times. Talking about transmission, I'm like, what does that even do, bro?
But that's what I mean. Like, most sports, anyone can, like, give it a go.
Yeah.
Like, F1, like, you just can't. Like, even go-karting is nothing compared to what these drivers. So there's always going to be that barrier. So I guess that's why F1's historically struggled to cultivate an audience, and why I think Netflix has been, like, have you watched Drive to Survive?
Yes, I haven't seen the latest season because I heard it wasn't as like good as the rest, but I've watched the rest of them. But I think the Drive to Survive, a lot of my friends have got into it because of that, because I think the reason why Drive to Survive is so good for people that are newbies is because you see the personality, so you can attach yourself with, say, Ricciardo, if you like that kind of personality. You can attach yourself, and then it leads you into the technical bits, and you want to learn that kind of like thing. So I think it has been a positive for bringing new people in.
The good thing about the technical stuff is, like, whilst it's good to know. It's not like imperative.
Yeah.
As long as you just know what's going down, you're calm with Formula One. You know, if someone says, "Oh, I've got a gearbox issue," okay, your gearbox isn't working. Like that's pretty much the be all and end all of it.
I think you nailed it there, right? Like, if you turned this on now and this was your first experience of watching Formula One, you wouldn't really know what's going on.
No.
Like, you wouldn't know the storylines, the behind the scenes. If you watch that Netflix special and you like have a little idea of who the drivers are and a little bit, they kind of touch on the histories of them as well, don't they? And you kind of know, okay, Hamilton and Verstappen last year had this battle, so now I can see them at the top, and maybe that's going to be interesting towards the end of this race as well. Like, it just gives you that extra connection to the actual race itself.
Even with stuff like the Romain Grosjean crash and stuff like that, it's just a little bit of knowledge that brings you in. Like, you know, stuff such like, I won't say historical, but big events that have happened in F1. It kind of gets you just enthralled with it.
Well, the safeties come on so much, it's easy to forget how dangerous like it can be. And we've seen that kind of a few times over the last few years, of course, with like Antoine Hubert in Spa, and Grosjean, if that could have gone very differently, you know. And it's like I think when there's, like you were saying about, you kind of build that connection with the drivers, and then also when there is this kind of danger element to it, I think that just kind of heightens everything, because I think every driver on the grid right now has had a really, really scary shunt at some point.
Yeah.
Also, Lewis is struggling with this tyre relative to the medium.
I love that. He's being like, it's not as good as the medium. That's because it's the hard.
Yeah.
You tell them that.
I'd be a terrible engineer, mate. Because I would just say these things like unintentionally, and you'd be like, "What, bro? What do you mean?"
Lewis wouldn't have, like, Lewis, he doesn't have time for like stupid questions. Like, you see the amount of times over the years, like Lewis has been asked a really silly question. He's like,
I think
he says fuck off without saying.
It depends who you get on the radio, right? Like, I wouldn't mind. I would definitely not want to be Hamilton or Verstappen's radio engineer. But maybe if I was like Joe's radio engineer, or like Albon comes across as like Bottas,
Bottas. Well, Ricciardo's actually, I think he's so like measured on the radio like, throughout his career. He's never been. He's very like affirmative.
The only time I ever remember him getting annoyed was when Verstappen hit him in Hungary a few years ago when they were teammates. And Monaco. Oh, yeah.
Which fair enough.
That was fair.
Fair enough.
That was a win just gone immediately. But
I mean, no, to be fair, actually, he was, considering what happened, he was actually very measured.
Pretty calm.
Considering what could have been.
I think Ricciardo, like, even when he's, he goes out in like Q1, he in the let him know, he goes, fuck. It's never like a screaming. It's just like, it is what it is.
That's what I mean.
I think
that's what's, I think, saddest to see is like he's clearly like very kind of downtrodden with the situation and doesn't know that. I think that's the biggest problem. He doesn't seem to understand why it's gone wrong, not just that it has gone wrong.
But do you
because
think,
he shouldn't be as far off Lando as he is.
Do you think with, like, you were saying you don't want to be like Max or Lewis's, is that because they've got that kind of like, it's that killer kind of...
They both wear their heart on their sleeves.
Yeah, but they want to be the best, whereas with Ricciardo, I just think he's there for the vibe sometimes. Like, I don't know if he has that killer thing to be the number one.
I think it's easy to... Because his character is so amazing, I think it's easy to... Like, I was guilty of this when Lando first came in the sport. I didn't take him as seriously as someone like George because George fit the profile of, like, like PR trained, like serious. Lando was a bit more fun on Twitch, you know what I mean? Like doing his thing.
Shit.
But actually, I think Daniel's success that he had at Red Bull has proven that you can be whoever you want to be off track. But when you put that helmet on, that visor down, the switch, that's how I feel about it. Anyway.
I think Lando's the one, right? You've seen Lando. For me, this season, Lando Norris has been sensational. Like, I've talked about it before when we were talking about, obviously, the battle for fourth place in the Constructors Championship. I genuinely, at times, think Lando Norris has been maybe the second best driver this season on the track. Like, if he was in a faster car, he'd be right up there.
Big shout, baby. That's a big shout. It's difficult to prove, but it's difficult to prove otherwise as well, because we see the car he's in. But I guess as well, because Daniel struggled so much, it's been a bit more difficult to measure where that McLaren actually is.
Yeah.
Is Lando, I know people don't like saying overdriving, but is he getting to the ceiling of that car and Daniel's off? Or is, for example, like Ocon and Alonso, as much as Alonso has definitely been the better driver this year, they've been fairly close.
Yeah.
So we kind of know where the Alpine is. If both drivers are getting a similar amount of performance out, we kind of know where that
It's
car
always
is.
that unknown, isn't it? When you've got one driver that's like sort of here and then another
Yeah,
that's
of course,
a little bit
man.
down here. You don't know whether the car's actually there or there.
Yeah.
Or somewhere in between.
Yeah, I mean, look, we saw this with Russell and Latifi at Williams. You know, Russell would get P2 in qualifying at Russia. He'd Spa, get onto the podium. Latifi was nowhere, and then obviously Albon jumping in has proven that it probably is Latifi who was the weak link there, and the car did actually have potential. As Carlos Sainz makes a move up the inside of the Alpine of Fernando Alonso.
Sainz is so far back.
22 seconds. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
The
mad.
two Ferraris are literally just in their own race.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
They
are
can do plan A because it doesn't matter at this point. Just
they
do
are
whatever.
what Mercedes have been for most of this season.
Yeah.
They're just in that. They're clear of
no man's land.
Yeah.
Do we know how much time you lose for like a pit stop, like altogether?
About 20,
Yeah.
22 seconds,
Varies
something
20
like
to
that.
24 depending on the track.
Yeah.
If Lewis is like,
Yeah, like 23 seconds was Fernando's,
Ah, right,
which is with a 3-second stop.
So Russell, if he stays fourth, will probably end up pitting late on to get fastest lap again.
Yeah.
Because he'll just have a free pit stop at this point. Whoever's fourth, come like 5 laps to go, might as well just pit.
But again,
Hello. Ooh, lovely stuff from Ocon round the outside of Valtteri
nice
Bottas.
move, Esteban. Oh, Bottas on the cutback though.
That's a move for like position once it all shakes out as well.
fight. No.
Oh, and Esteban kept the DRS as well.
Oh.
That stopped Bottas getting an opportunity back again.
Valtteri fuming.
Well done, SD. That's my boy.
Not giving it up though.
Still
is he?
going for it, yeah.
he's
Oof.
giving it- Oh,
Whew. God.
honestly,
Harrying
Bottas
him.
all over the back of Ocon there, but I think Esteban's got a
Barry's
position.
still breathing in it.
But I think that's the
Been
thing.
breached again.
Bottas has realised that he actually can be caught in 10th place in the Drivers' Championship now, so he's got to get some points.
Who is it that's just behind him in 11th?
Vettel.
Right, okay, fairs.
To be fair, who's nowhere right now.
Well,
so.
yeah, I guess.
I do definitely feel though like Alfa Romeo, either they haven't been upgrading the car as much, or just the upgrades haven't seemed to work because him and Joe, like Joe was very unlucky at the start of the season. I felt like for a lot of the season he's been very unlucky, and reliability has been a problem, but it's been a problem for the other Ferrari power units. So I do wonder how much of that is Bottas, versus the car as well. Not too happy with this tyre, George
The both
and
in the
Lewis.
video there on there.
Oh,
Lewis isn't happy with it either. Ooh, the gap's gone from 7 seconds to 9.3, by the way.
Yeah,
About
he's got
7 or 8 laps, I want to say.
Sergio's only 2 behind him as well.
Yeah. So obviously,
Fastest lap as well, Sergio.
Max is going to pit again before the end.
Mercedes are hoping the tyre comes back, basically.
Basically, yeah. Or that Max just doesn't get the most out of his tyre in the final stint.
Yeah.
Because he's still got to gain, another 13 or so seconds, but...
I think if there is a graining phase they can get through, then potentially. But I guess Mercedes, I don't know. You feel like the pace has been there with Red Bull on the same compound, but I don't know. Is it worth rolling the dice?
Richmond fan, by the way, in the chat saying, "Hey guys, I've just woken up. What's been happening with the race?" Well, I can confirm it's been a slow burner and it's still not on fire yet. So it's still burning away. It's been a bit of a slow one, really. But Verstappen's still leading, obviously. Lewis and Perez getting a jump on Russell at the start. Ferrari are kind of nowhere, in kind of no man's land. Other than that,
That's a good synopsis, man.
that's a good summary, I feel. But
Yeah.
not a huge amount's been going on so far today.
The thing is, you typically see that on races, right, where there's soft and medium tyres at the start, so there's probably going to be some kind of split strategies, and then
There's
it
a
kind of
convergence
coalesces.
at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be one. I mean, so far after 44 laps, maybe that 40% chance of rain. We're not seeing any yet.
I think we're about 60% of the way through as well. So theoretically now, the 40% comes.
Exactly. That's how it works.
That's how the
You've
weather
seen
works.
enough times it happens. Yeah.
Definitely how it works.
How's that?
Do a rain dance, lad. Come on.
How's Danny 7th? Have I just missed something? there?
He hasn't
Hasn't
pitted
been.
yet.
Right, okay.
But he probably will be like.
I was hoping that. I was like, wow, go on.
Just do it.
Sorry, I should have just let you have that one. I should have been like, no, he's there. He's just there.
Just do an Albon soft last lap. But done.
That would actually be jokes, Steve.
Listen, it worked.
Still
for
don't
Alex.
understand how that worked for Alex back then. But
Yeah.
we move. Anyway.
I don't know. Williams being weird.
Yeah.
they're just
And it working.
Yeah, exactly. Pays off sometimes. But yeah, both. Alex is on the soft now for everyone watching who cares about Alex Albon, which of course is all of you. He's now on the soft tyre in P15.
And I feel compelled to do a Latifi watch when you do an Albon watch as well.
Come on then.
He is currently 6 seconds off Magnussen on the hards at the back. I don't even know when he went on the hards, to be honest with you.
Whilst we
I think he
talk
was the first person.
about Williams, obviously you're not a Williams fan, but with Albon being there for another couple of years,
Yeah.
Sargent coming in.
Well, Sargent's my favourite F2 driver as well. So
Look at that.
the Williams bias is going to be strong next year, I'm afraid, everyone. I'm sorry.
That's if he gets
Blue as well.
Yeah, it's all coming into play.
I didn't even think about that. But actually, subconsciously, it's already there.
You went in your wardrobe today and went, Williams.
His whole wardrobe's just
Next
blue.
year. Yeah, like Marge Simpson opens it's just all the same green dress.
Smurf's wardrobe.
That'll be me with Williams merch.
all he's got to do is pick between the Albon and Sargent.
Both, Sergeant
Come in
Cat.
half, stick them together.
Albon
both
T.
at the same time.
No, you know what? Obviously, I've got a lot of respect for Williams' history, and when I started watching, it was after the Williams dominance, so I've only ever known them to be pretty mid. The Martini livery was a banger back in the day. So yeah, no, I'm going to definitely be, I'm fully open with my preferences here. Definitely, Williams are going to be, and I love an underdog. I'm a struggling West Ham fan, so.
What do they do if they don't get Sargent? I know it's super unlikely because Sargent has to come, sixth in the standards in Formula 2 to get the super license
if he doesn't
point?
get the super license point.
So because they're running him in Mexico and Abu Dhabi, he gets an extra 2. He gets an extra 2 because he hasn't got any penalty points as well.
Yes.
So
Really?
so
He's
he
been
only has to
very
come in
clean
6th
boy.
place.
Clean boy.
Which is super unlikely considering he's 3rd.
Yeah.
As Ricardo
But-
pits, Cam.
Ricardo is finally
You
in.
might as well just stay there.
Joe's getting
Ooh, here we
overtaken.
go.
He's been
Drop.
blitzed.
Oh my goodness.
Ocon and Bottas. I think Joe's slowed up there to try and hold up Ocon so Bottas can go through.
That didn't work.
Hasn't.
I think
Yeah.
it's interesting with Williams as well, how you were saying there, because when you were on about how strong is McLaren, because obviously Danny's just been, dropped off. It's how strong actually is the Williams? Because Albon's actually been performed quite well this season, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look where he's now. He's not last. He's holding his own, middle
Compared
of
to
the
Latifi, yeah.
bottom half. Yeah, exactly.
Now, he's been consistently competing with AlphaTauri, beating Haas
Yeah.
most of the time.
He's got in the points a few times. He's got close to the points a few times as well. That Williams, the Haas last year, that was a really bad car relative to everyone. That was a mile off.
That was crazy.
The Williams clearly isn't that. It's clearly somewhat competitive at the bottom end of the field, but somewhat on a good day can get points. I mean, Nick De Vries proved it at Monza. If in certain circumstances it can deliver,
It's felt very track dependent, hasn't it?
massive.
It's felt like
Aston Martin as well, to be fair.
nice. But what do Williams do if they don't get Sargent?
Yeah, no, it's a good
Right.
it's a good question.
'Cause
They must
they're-
have that planned.
Daniel
just in case.
Ricardo.
Nikita Mazepin.
Oh,
Get him
Jesus.
back on.
God, I haven't heard
Egg
that name.
reborn.
I haven't heard that name for a while. Blimey. No, it's a good question. I reckon maybe a Porsche or a Doohan, because have some kind of, because Porsche is part of Sauber, Alfa Romeo, and Doohan's part of Alpine, and I think they would facilitate a loan deal for a year. That's what I reckon. What about you? What are we thinking?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I was kind of thinking, because I think their first choice probably would have been Nick. And then he obviously went to AlphaTauri. So then maybe they were trying to think of Logan Sargent, I think, as a test driver next season. But now he's going to be in the seat, hopefully, for them. So yeah, it is one of those other Formula 2 names, isn't it? Maybe like a Schwartzman from Ferrari is also on the cusp, isn't he?
Yeah, true.
Dragovic, Aston Martin, obviously, is going in as a test driver. Maybe
True.
something with them.
I feel like they'll just do a lucky dip out of the F2 grid and just go, right, let's just have one of these lot on loan, pretty much. Haas as well, Hulkenberg or Giovinazzi. I feel like Giovinazzi could be the edge now that they're giving him some test time in Kota. I don't know.
It's not going to be Gio.
Test time, 3 laps.
Oh, okay. That is he basically had the same as Hulkenberg, realistically.
That's what I mean. He had. I felt for him after, because he came out and said I don't think it's affected my chances of getting the seat, and I'm like, I struggled to believe how that hasn't affected his chances of getting the seat. As much as it was one of them that is kind of through the S's. There was a car ahead. you're expecting a certain amount of grip, and because of the dirt, you don't get that amount of grip, and then you spin. We saw that with Charles here, going through the S's, that especially those highest. So you can definitely make some excuses, but also a driver of his experience jumping into that car, you can't be doing that. Sorry, Gio. But
I think that was the thing, right? There was a lot of rookies out there, and Giovinazzi was the one to drop it. Like Sargent was out there, Schwartzman was out there. Obviously, Palou as well was out there from IndyCar,
as well.
and he was so good.
Right, should we give a little update on the race? Because Max Verstappen sitting P1 on the mediums will definitely stop again. 10 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton on the hard.
It hasn't gone up that much.
Probably
It's gone up by about 1 second in the last 5 laps, I want to say.
And it's dropped down to 9 again.
Yeah.
Mercedes are hoping that Lewis and George are both struggling on the hard tyres, but Mercedes are hoping that they get through some kind of graining phase and then have more performance towards the end as the cars get lighter, I suppose. That's the wish. Perez is 1.5 off of Lewis. Oh, shall we look at predictions? Because I feel like mine are actually pretty good at some point. I just want to get in early.
Yeah. No, we'll get them up in a second. But yeah, I think
no chance.
Yours might be quite good. Mine,
my top
no.
4, I think, spot on.
I put a Ferrari in 4th. I know that for fact. I think I put Leclerc in 4th. That's not happening.
We'll see.
It just simply isn't. But we'll get that up in a
I
second.
either put Sainz or Leclerc in 5th, and I hope it's Sainz.
Do you know how close, after seeing Bottas P6, how close I was to going Hamver bot? Just for like, just for the jokes.
That.
Throwback.
Bloody hell.
Boom. That's what I wanted to see him.
See, I had faith in Lando as well. Oh. Cam, you're doing pretty decently with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now.
Didn't ask for these powers, mate.
And, as obviously, if Max ends up pitting and then can't re-overtake Lewis, you got it all correct completely.
Yeah. Is there like a prize money for this, or is it just
we can neither confirm nor deny whether we have the budget for that.
The prize is our respect and the respect of the wider F1 community.
Yeah, that can also be arranged.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Lewis still struggling with drivability of his car. Losing power, which I guess you push the throttle down, and if you're not getting the amount of power you're expecting, it's going to be difficult to. And this is the thing as well, that these cars are so highly strung, even a slight difference, they're going to notice because they're just so switched on with the motors.
Random interesting watch between now and the end of the race. Daniel Ricciardo is on the softs. He was 6 seconds behind Tsunoda like 3 laps ago, and now he's right with him.
He might get a point.
Yeah. So he might burn his way back through the order just because he's on the softs.
So. Ricciardo overtaking Norris would be lovely to see. I love you, Lando, but come on, Daniel, do it. B&Q it.
I'm offended, personally.
That's fine. Oh look, I don't know if it's just this track, but I feel like a few drivers, like Lewis's head looks so low in that car, like compared to like Ocon, who's like up here.
Yeah. Ocon's just so tall. I think
booster seat.
Tall boy.
That's what I always, honestly, I would need a booster seat. Like, just being that low in a Formula 1 car just scares me.
Have you sat in an F1 car?
Never. I would look like Ocon, realistically, wouldn't I? I'd be like, above the halo, my neck's like that in the car.
It must be a pain in the arse for Alpine. You've got Alonso, who's like really short, like 5'6", I don't know, 5'7". He's a very short bloke. And then Ocon, who's like 6'1", 6'2". I don't know. That must be a nightmare for the team because everything, like, I mean, for AlphaTauri next year, it's great because they've got 2 shorties, like with De Vries and Tsunoda. It's like it's the shortest. No, not that kind of short. It's the shortest F1 lineup of all time.
Yeah.
Is it actually? Yeah. How tall is De Vries?
Someone did. It was I think Takuma Sato and Anthony Davidson were teammates.
Yeah, Anthony Davidson's tiny.
But that makes it so much easier for the team because all the pedal layout and all that could be the same.
Well, they're basically like a part of the car, aren't they? They're like,
you've got to mould them in.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Daniel Ricciardo right on the back of one of those short individuals, Yuki Tsunoda, my short king. Come on, bro, hold him up. And he does. At the end of the second DRS zone. I feel like this is a matter of time, to be honest.
Ricciardo
and that time is looking like...
is he going to chuck it up inside?
Big contact between the two.
I think Ricciardo might be able to carry on.
Oh.
Get stuffed, Yuki. I'm joking. I hope he's okay.
Yuki flew in the air.
Oh, that's a bit of
floors
just come off. Yeah, good.
Ooh,
Yuki's lost a lot of places there.
It's all coming up.
Was Ricciardo entitled more space there?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You need to answer quicker.
Yes.
TLL stewards have spoken.
You could see that coming though, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
when they were going into
That's
it.
another one of those where it was like that accident was happening the entire time. Like,
And big
I
up
know
Hatch
we-
again. Chances of a Lewis dub. Hard's the right choice. What do we think? I think we need to get a poll up. We did this last week. Will Lewis Hamilton win this race? We did this last week, and it was pretty close to 50-50 until towards the end, and then obviously Max got the...
Lewis was 40%.
Do we think? Well, look, because that gap's... It actually was. Bro, no, he was. It was like 45-55, and then we did it again. It was 40-60.
that's amazing. 40% chance of Hamilton.
Mate, there's something going on here, man. I'm not seeing any rain in the
Is
air.
that Tsunoda?
Yeah, Yuki's in. I'm going to assume he's got some serious floor damage, realistically.
New front wing.
Oh, you needed a new front wing as well. Fair enough.
I
'Cause
mean,
he's just bouncing around, wasn't he?
AlphaTauri,
So-
honestly, I
Christ,
just wouldn't
they
bother at this
cannot
point.
get it off.
I know we touched on it earlier, but I want to readdress. You know how I said I don't want to be Verstappen's race engineer? I do
Yeah.
not want to be Yuki Tsunoda's race engineer.
swears
He
so
is
much.
So
Oh, really?
aggressive
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the
yeah,
radio.
yeah,
Because it's like, especially with the, and I'm sure a lot of drivers have this, when there is like, English isn't your first language and you're expected to,
Come on, Yuki.
Yeah, I think
Well, there you go. There's some more swearing.
Needs a good long look at himself in the mirror after that, Yuki.
It's a good small look.
Ricciardo's seen a gap. He has gone for it. Yuki.
I'm a little bit undecided
It's on
on
the
this
cusp.
one, you know. Because
Yeah.
Yuki should have given him more space. But Ricciardo
That's
has...
a risky move.
He's like a
Ricciardo's
little... He's
just gone.
sliding
There's
a
no
little
space
bit.
there, I don't-
There is no space. But Yuki's not giving him enough space.
Yeah.
But Ricciardo was quite literally sliding up the inside. Like, was he a little bit out of control? I don't know.
I reckon maybe a racing incident.
Oh, yeah, that side pod's fucked, mate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
There's
yeah,
a hole
Yuki's
in it.
gonna have to race.
I didn't see that at first.
There's
Technical
a hole in it. Oh, that's a great technical analysis there.
analysis with Niran.
There's
There's a hole in that.
And we're getting the poll up now.
Oh, there's a little.
Oh, only
train here, isn't
28% believers.
Wow.
Only 28%.
Mercedes have just come on the radio and said they think they're on the right tyre to win this race. So obviously they're vibing. They feel like they've
They
made the
still
right decision.
believe.
They're holding
Well, again, we
on.
saw it's like
You believe?
23-second pit stop. Carry on.
Alive after love.
I thought that was quite good. I was like, carry on.
He needs to gain another 12 seconds, does Max, over the course of the remainder of this race.
Exactly, and it just
14
depends on
laps to
how
go.
those hard tyres perform towards the end. But
14 laps.
you know what? As long as Sergio Perez gets on the podium, that's the main thing.
I don't want to badmouth
happy.
your guy right now, but I think Albon is keeping them, or is holding them all up right here.
Yeah, there's an Albon train.
Yeah.
Right here.
He is P12.
First class.
Listen, it just takes a couple of DNFs up the front, and Albon gets in the points. I'm just saying. Right?
Oh, is Tsunoda out?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, that a hole like that. I mean, we saw what was it, Fernando in Imola when he had a tiny hole in the side pod from Mick Schumacher, and then it
blew
just
up.
blew over
Yeah.
down the straight because there's so much air going through those tunnels at like such high pressure. Go on, Alex! Sorry, everyone. I got excited.
To be fair, he's got a little bit of a gap. I think it's more
Yeah.
the Aston Martin that's
Oh,
holding Don's
I
up.
just heard what the penalty was. 10 seconds for Daniel Ricciardo. Interesting.
That's actually quite surprising. So hang on a second. So George got 5 in Austin. Or did he get 10?
I got 5.
Got 5.
So George gets 5 in Austin.
Oh, it was a great little scrap here. Hang on.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Bottas. Oh, not again.
Nice.
Oh, that's Joe.
Guan Yu Zhou, sorry.
Joe Vettel Gasly. I'll tell you what, it's hard actually. Crofty gets he gets a lot of stick, but
It is
actually,
hard. Why both the top of their helmets blue?
yeah,
But yeah, sorry, Guan Yu Zhou. Yeah, trying to
they
make
should
a
have
move
to
on
have their
set.
name on the halo.
That would actually be such a sick idea. Or the number.
Yeah,
at the very
exactly.
least.
But yeah, no.
Seb's struggling here, having not even been on the mediums that long, by the way.
Wait, hang on. 10 seconds for chat. Who's got 10 seconds? So
it's not gonna be Yuki, is it?
I feel like I've heard. Oh no, it is.
It is, yeah.
Sorry.
Wasn't it? See,
I thought Ted said 10 seconds for Tsunoda, and I was like, what?
he's not here anymore, lads.
Right? Is it?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised. I'm definitely surprised it's 10.
Yeah. That penalty. Okay, like it was touch and go. Maybe it is a penalty.
There wasn't really
I'm sure
a gap,
there's actual racing drivers who have a better analysis of that. But yeah, 10
Point stream
seconds.
is over now, right?
Yeah.
11th place. Even if he would have caught Norris, is he going to get 10 seconds on him?
I think 11th
know.
is his play. Well, he's
I mean, to be-
on 12 seconds, but
Yeah, I was gonna say like even he will stay 11th
Yeah.
with that penalty. In fairness, even though it's a bit harsh, like at least he doesn't lose where he is.
But that's classic his season. It's like, oh, he's gonna do it. Every time.
Yeah, because there've been moments for sure,
Yeah.
and it's just never been able to build that momentum. But when you're not confident in the car that's underneath you, I think that's just.
Just one more quick Latifi update for everyone.
Oh my
He's
god!
behind
42 seconds behind Magnussen in 19th place.
No, he did. Well, he was on the hard tyre, so he's obviously pitted for the
pitted
soft.
again, yeah. He is
Still not an
actually,
excuse.
he is literally behind Tsunoda right now, who's out, basically. He's that far off.
That's actually.
What? How does Latifi feel? Like, surely it can't be fun.
Yeah, I do feel bad.
But also
But,
he's probably
well,
a millionaire, so
be fair.
yeah,
I was going to say.
it's fine.
Probably not too bad, actually.
The thing is now, right? So
Drive faster.
Max has been on these mediums for like 30 laps, I think.
Yep.
Like,
Kind of goes to the end.
14 to go, 15 to go. Surely that's asking too much. I don't know.
15 more to go in it, yeah.
Well, we saw from Ricciardo, like, putting the soft on at the end when the car's a lot lighter as well. Like, you can lean on that tyre more at the end of a race than you can at the start because you're not going to have as much tyre deck. So, will he pit? That's the question.
I think they just don't have the gap to Hamilton, right? Because it's 11, nearly 12 seconds, 23-second pit stop-ish. Is he going to be able to make up 10 seconds in the last 10 laps?
He will be a rocket ship on the softs, in fairness.
Yeah.
Will this be
still
like
yeah.
Silverstone 2020 when Lewis's front left went pop and then Max was chasing him down at the end? Could we see that again?
I love them references. You just pull out with a hat. You just like bang.
Bonk.
There you go.
Bonk.
Yeah.
Have that.
Mate, that was a memorable day.
Mansell 86, just like boom. Yeah. No.
Make sure the telly doesn't turn off.
Perez
I
was
have not left the room, Sky.
Perez was nearly
All of
in
us here.
DRS there, but then he's kind of dropped off. But he was nearly getting into DRS. But I don't know if that would, if Lewis has to fight him off, that obviously.
Yeah, that's
slows him down.
I am a
Yeah.
bit scared for Perez in this race in terms of getting a podium.
Really?
If he has to pit again, he's not getting a podium.
Yeah.
Because he's got to gain, 20 seconds back on Russell again after he pits?
that's a tall order.
That's a lot. Like, Hamilton's in a really unfortunate position for him right now. He's not able to, pull away from George
Yeah.
any further than he probably could at this moment in time.
because Perez pitted before
He's
Max,
kind of
didn't he?
trapped. Yeah.
It's like 33 laps or something he's done on
I
it.
feel like if they're going to do a two-stop with Perez, then they kind of need to dedicate to it now so that he's got actually time to
Also,
then gain
Carlos
on George.
Sainz, 30 seconds behind George Russell.
Wow.
The Ferraris have not turned up today in any way, shape, or form. Still
then
P5, P6, but
Alonso then 36 seconds as well.
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
These gaps are nuts.
That's the thing. And the rest of the field, calm. But it's just those top three teams. And I think we are seeing what I always expected. I think we should have always expected is that, these new regulations were drafted in 2019 when there was no budget cap. You still had Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes spending 300-400 million around that figure per year. They could get a big head start. And we're seeing that has paid dividends. You look at where they are now. Relative to the rest of the field, those three teams, like even just that gap between Leclerc and Alonso is like 37 seconds.
Like Daniel Ricciardo's making moves. He's already gone past Lando. He has got that 10-second penalty, but he's made a move now on Valtteri Bottas.
Go on,
Well,
Danny.
Good, Sam.
Danny Rick. To be honest with you, the way he is actually going, he could actually pull 10 seconds on Lando. Because he's now got 6 seconds of clean air.
Yeah.
If he bridges that, boom, he's got 10 seconds to Lando.
Yeah, and hopefully they hold on at the end as well, the compound.
Yeah.
Depends how many...
I'm not going to lie. If I'm Max Verstappen, I'm just pitting now. Slap the softs on. Make it interesting,
Yeah.
bro. I'd just do an overtake.
Or is it
spectacle.
more
Yeah,
in...
just...
Yeah.
I'd be bored if I was
Yeah,
him now.
exactly.
I want to see Max stay out because I think if that tyre starts to degrade and then the gradual... That would be exciting.
You know, I actually hear that.
That
I
would
feel
be
like
exciting.
either way, it should close up a bit.
Because I just feel if Max pits, he would just inevitably just have insane pace and because he's just that good.
Then again, he is still gaining time over Lewis technically right now.
You're right.
So the tyres aren't exactly like going off to the point where Lewis is catching him again.
Mercedes have made their bed. They've got to lie in it now, and obviously they're hoping it's the right call.
It's just weird with Max because you just
feet are clean.
you just feel like he's not going to make a mistake ever. You just feel like he's just there mentally, like he's got it.
So Lewis just has gone the same lap time as Max last lap, but Max is in clean air, free air ahead. Lewis has got to pass the two Alpines. So that Mercedes are alluding that there is actually more pace for Lewis right now.
Right, lads, I just had a really, really stupid thought on how to improve Formula One.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
I would like to know also further things that are stupid that would enhance the spectacle. I think one race a season, a driver's parent should drive the car.
Well, like a parent's race.
Like sports day. Like the parents' race at sports day. Like, you know, Jos Verstappen gets in the car, then Lewis Hamilton's mum gets in the car one time or whatever, and they just have a race at the end of the season.
Surely it's a little bit harsh on the drivers that don't have ex-racing drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point, actually. Ex-racing driver parents are banned. So no Jos Verstappen,
There's definitely something there, right? Okay. Every single... No, seriously. Every single member of the pit crew has to be blood related to the driver. So you have like Uncle Steve on the jack, like and then Nanny Linda on the left rear. Come on, tell me you wouldn't want to see that. Tell me you wouldn't want to see that. Yeah, come on, chat. You know you want to see that. Jos Verstappen in the gravel for sure. Yeah, to be fair, he would certainly push it. Ex F1 driver. Yeah, it would be a bit but then pit stop's fine, you know?
Even, to be fair, I don't think Jos would even win, even as an ex F1, judging off his career.
Ricciardo's 1.2 off of Ocon as well. Moving quick. Russell's still complaining about his tyre, still not happy with the hard.
I mean, there was not really another option. That's the thing. If you just do the same as Red Bull, you're going to finish where you were before. You know, they had to do something different.
He wanted the soft, right? And to be fair, like if he was on the soft now, maybe he's in front of Perez, but then he probably has to pit again. So
The Pirelli strategies at the start were like for the one stop, it had to be medium to hard. Yet Max and Perez are going for a soft to medium one stop. So like it really depends on what happens. Like there's still 11 laps to go. That's still a lot of distance.
Is that kind of... Oh, no.
Is that Perez lapping an Alpine or something?
I'm just seeing here, Danny Ricciardo is in DRS of Ocon. What is going on?
Yeah, he's actually making... I actually kind of feel bad for him that he's got this 10-second penalty now. Yeah. Because on a serious level, like, he's finishing 7th without it.
Yeah.
Like, he's motoring right now.
Yeah, because it's Alonso like 40 seconds behind.
Yeah. Oh, hello. The Alpines are swapping.
Interesting.
Oh, and then Daniel's just going to blitz past Alonso.
Go on.
Fair enough.
Go on, Avocado.
Yes, boy. Lovely stuff. Daniel Ricciardo then up into P8 past Fernando.
This feels like a long time since I've been able to get excited about Daniel Ricciardo in the field. So I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. I'm here for this. I like this.
Thanks, boys.
He's going again.
Go on.
Oh, Alonso's dropped off massively. I don't know if he's actually got a problem.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, that was quite easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, like they both just drove past. Alonso
parks it on the apex.
20 seconds now for Ricciardo. No.
Yeah, so this
Ricciardo
is
does exactly the same as he did with Tsunoda.
Ocon saw that coming, man. Ocon definitely saw that coming.
Yeah.
Yes, Danny, man. This is good to see. He's driving like a man possessed in a good way.
Even if, like, Yas got the 10, right? But even just taking this into the next race, it's a little bit more confidence for him just to kind of get...
That's it, man.
And
that's what the sport's all about.
Exactly. He's not going to be here next season, so it's just... hopefully he will be. But it's just like...
Alonso radio. Finish. Oh, he's unbelievable, mate. What a season.
GP2 engine. Yeah, I don't know. From Aberdeen, mate. He's from there.
Niran tours Spain. Let's make it happen. Send you to Oviedo. Just integrate perfectly into the community.
Aberdeen, yeah.
Ricciardo, Ocon.
There's little bits of haggis in there instead of chorizo.
So what's that? Ricciardo gap
Yeah.
to Lando is about 7 seconds now. So
Yeah, something like that. I mean, he's got 10 laps now, just clean air. He'll just blitz away from these lot.
as long as the soft holds on.
Yeah, of course.
If this soft holds on, he's got, 46 seconds to Leclerc. So now he's got quite a bit of a gap now where he can...
Yeah.
The way Ferrari
Maybe
has been this
stretch his
season,
legs.
that's not out of the realms of possibility.
Right.
Not what I was thinking, but I like it.
I've seen something interesting. This might be nonsense, right? So Checo was about a second and a half off of Lewis a few laps ago, maybe more than a few.
You're onto something.
Now Checo is 4 seconds off the back of Lewis Hamilton. Now, obviously, Perez put the mediums on before Verstappen did. This indicates Perez. Watch that gap, Perez to Hamilton, because if that keeps growing, that indicates that the medium's falling off.
And Russell's catching Perez, right? He was
And
5.
exactly.
Yeah.
Russell was not that quickly, but
That is quite a big drop off actually, because it's been hang on a second and a half for ever.
But then that Verstappen
So-
Hamilton gap still 13 and a half
That's
seconds.
a lot. It needs a massive drop off.
Huge drop off. And actually, fair play, Carlos Sainz holding 5 seconds ahead of Leclerc, kept him behind all race as well.
A cool moment there for Ricciardo coming out of sector
Little
2.
drift.
Right, like being a Ricciardo fan, your blood pressure is just mental.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
He's going there. He's 3 seconds ahead of Ocon now.
Yeah, man.
Oh shit.
He's
He's about 2
flying.
seconds away from being 10th in terms of being ahead of
Yeah.
Norris.
This is kind of like, remember in Austria when Lando was driving to catch Hamilton's 5-second penalty, and he was driving to the end. Like it's like a time trial. You know what I mean? You're not actually Daniel's got to go. He's got to get on with it.
It's just
to open up that gap.
qualifying.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is sad, but I've got a framed photo of Daniel Ricciardo's Monza win in my office, and I got at the start of the season being like, he's going to do so well, and now he's not even going to be at McLaren.
Oh.
So that's just so embarrassing.
That's a memory, though. That's a memoir.
Yeah, it kind of is. But every time
You
I look
can't
at
take that win away from him.
yeah,
Yeah.
Considering the years that McLaren have had, that win still is worth more than a lot of
take it.
like,
Yeah.
even though he's not going to be in the car next year. Just that win, and I will thank him forever for that because
It was
Will
so sweet.
Lando catch Valtteri? They're close. And Lando's not got to worry about. I mean, Albon's like 6 seconds off the back of Lando. Interesting.
Alonso's pace has gone.
Yeah, what happened there?
Okay.
He's got a problem of some kind, surely.
Verstappen Hamilton gap's definitely coming down.
Yeah.
Technically,
12.8.
Perez is 4.6. So Perez's tyres have definitely gone off at this point.
Russell's getting closer to breaking 3 as well.
I think Max is going to hold on.
Latifi has just been lapped by his teammate as well.
Oh, rah.
I love the TV watch. It's probably my favourite part of the show.
what's your job next season?
Oh, no, that's a good point. What am I going to do? Who am I going to watch?
Just do it in the street or if he's at home. Making some toast. Or some lot of butter.
Yeah, I feel like a Roman reporter. Cross down live to Niran. Well, fucking hell, have I got news for you, lads?
The White Sox today.
Oh, thank you. Who's that man? That's a great name.
Who's that man?
Right, here we go.
That's a long one.
The text is small, but I've got good eyes. My 7-year-old niece and nephew bet me their scooter and Switch were all not watching the race at the same... What?
Pardon?
Shout out... Wait, what? Shout out Meho and Nooney.
Nooney. So I can RB their stuff. There's a
RB
lot
their
of
stuff.
things going on in that message, I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, thank you for this super chat.
Thank you very much
appreciate
for
it. Shout
the
out
super chat. Shout out to the niece
Meho
and
and
nephew.
Nooney. Appreciate it.
I want to know
Thank you
what's
for
been
your
betted
support.
here. What's been betted? That they're not watching the race at the same time?
Yeah.
Let's say make a new bet, right? About
there is
based
a
on
delay.
Verstappen and Hamilton winning the race.
Yeah.
Make a new bet for the scooter and Switch because there's money to be had there, boys. Get the money up.
Is
Yeah.
that Norris on butter?
Oh, and Alonso's pulling
Alonso's
off.
gone.
Surely Fernando. Yellow flag, sector one.
Safety car. Yeah, Fernando Alonso's pulled off.
The Aberdeen Queen.
Oh, Fernando, man. He has. This is what he meant when he was like, this season.
Yeah.
Man, this season.
Not again.
Oh,
Smoke.
what's his
He has
radio?
missed out on a lot of points.
Engine.
Engine. At the very scene of GP2 engine.
He just said engine. He didn't
Just
say
say
Safety
car.
car.
VSC.
Just
Verstappen, pit.
Oh, an actual safety car would have been
Because
well
you
interesting.
lose less time, obviously, pitting under a VSC.
This has been very good for Verstappen.
How much less time is it? 15.
15.
This is very good for Verstappen.
Is he cheering there?
He's like, yes, I can finally go home.
Get me back. Get me to Aston Martin.
Get me out of here.
They don't
Verstappen
break.
hasn't pitted, by the way. He's just gone down the start.
Look at him.
Fernando enjoying the fans, taking it in. He's been very unlucky this year.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Aston Martin next season.
Albon P11. Come on, Alex.
Ricciardo is already 11 seconds at Ocon, by the way. So he's actually he's got 7th as it stands, which is mad.
Yeah, the VSC is very good for Ricciardo as well.
Yeah.
Very good for Ricciardo.
Good bloody stuff, mate. Ooh.
So it feels like, because they're recovering the car. Yeah, the VSC is going to end in a minute. They've already pretty much recovered the car. Have Mercedes blown this?
I think also it's got to credit Verstappen for.
Slow-mo.
Oh, he was fuming.
Fernando being angry. It looked like he lobbed something, like he throw
Yeah.
a pebble.
At the engine, just lob a stone at it.
What could Mercedes have done though? Because they started on the medium.
Yeah,
so they
this
had
is what
to
I mean.
use soft or hard. If they go onto the soft tyre early on, then they're
make it stand.
guaranteeing themselves a
That's what I mean.
boost
Is it one of these that it was just always out of reach, or have they? Because I mean, look, there's 14 seconds that gap.
Just Verstappen's he's just too good.
Yeah.
Like I just think because obviously Hamilton is got Perez, but I just think Verstappen's just so.
Russell wants to box.
Well, Verstappen's about to annihilate some Formula One records. To be fair,
Yeah.
So if he wins this, he's got the most race wins in a season. Like
Price, really?
Anyone, yeah. If he wins all 3 of the final Grand Prix, he also matches Michael Schumacher's win percentage in a season.
Fuck.
So like,
Because that's the big one. Because obviously we have more races
now.
So, but that is also like huge.
and what is it? Hamilton 413 points, well within touching distance for Max Verstappen as well for most points in a season. So like, he's out there to break some records. Is Max Verstappen?
Sean thinks that next chance for Mercedes is going to be Abu Dhabi. Maybe.
Red Bull are just so good at Abu Dhabi, though. I don't know.
But this was a very commanding drive at the end. It's been from Max, and it was the right call from Red Bull. I mean, look, soft medium. Like Perez didn't think that was going to be the way. Lewis thinks he's pulled more of a gap to VSC. Which,
Yeah, to be fair, he's gained like 2 seconds from that. But that just kind of is what it is with the VSC. It's not always going to keep everyone together
exactly
the same.
And the VSC was the right call as well. Like it didn't merit a safety car. They recovered the car really quickly, and Fernando pulled it near a recovery road. So go away, Pierre. Leave Alex alone, please.
Yeah, well, he's only 2.5 seconds off 10th right now. Is Alex Albon.
Come on.
Valtteri Bottas has been struggling. Like Lando's just overtaken him on the same tyre compound. So Valtteri's like on the way down. So this could be the moment.
Look at how quick Ricciardo's gone. Like, I'm not going to... Like, that soft tyre towards the end is so much quicker.
Ridiculous. Genuinely ridiculous.
He's the best of like the rest, right? Obviously the top 3 teams.
Comfortably now. Comfortably as
That
well.
strategy has been a gold mine, literally. Like, if you've gone on the softs at any time today, you're
Lifted
checked
it.
out.
Yeah.
You're living.
That's why Albon's catching Bottas.
Yeah, quickly as well. Reeling him in.
This 14.5 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton. This, unless there's some kind of technical failure for Max Verstappen, this is one or a tyre blowout, which we haven't heard anything about the tyres looking like they're going to fall off.
Can't believe the mediums have gone this far. What do you know? Like what
man.
lap Max actually pitted on?
Well, he's done at least
20, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. He's done.
He'll have done like 50 laps on these mediums by the end.
42 laps he's done.
42.
On the medium.
Or what so far? He's done 42
so far. That is insane.
I guess Mercedes were kind of banking on them falling away, weren't they?
All right, so legit, Albon is actually cashing Bottas, and he's on the soft. Come on, Alex.
It's happening. I'm just telling you right now. Like, just warning you to actually more than anything. Like, it's gonna happen.
You're in the splash zone.
Yeah.
don't know. He's under
There's no
pressure.
more water left. Thank God.
I'm
fully
bit of
hydrated.
pressure from Gasly as well. Is what I'm thinking. I'm like,
I could imagine.
Albon gets in front of Bottas, but then just gets taken by Gasly.
Gasly just does a Hail Mary on the inside.
Don't need your negativity, JB. All right? I don't need it. Look, everyone in front of him is on hards. Right, Alex, mate. If Alex had a few more laps, he'd easily be P.
Haas have done nothing as well, haven't they?
He won. He'd easily win. It was 100 more laps.
No.
That was not good through a stadium
bugger
section
off,
from
man.
Alex.
Do one.
Pierre's right
you don't
there,
need
mate.
it.
Pierre's
DRS
right
as
there.
well.
Gasly's one of them people that he's always just lurking. And
no.
Yeah,
He's
this
gonna get
is
him in.
bad. This is real bad. Gasly is firmly in the slipstream. Alex goes to the
he's
inside to
bent over,
defend,
yeah.
but Pierre Gasly is through. Oh, that in the stadium section for Alexander Albono, full name. Is
government named him.
gotta give him the government name in
birth
these serious
certificate.
situations. That is going to be costly. And Bottas has also got away because of that too.
It's fine. It's fine. They're still catching Bottas. Come on. It's fine.
Fine. Bottas has just gone wide as well. He's like, come on, lad.
Alex he appreciates the show, you know? It would be too easy if he just drove past Valtteri
Yeah,
Bottas.
no, I hear
So,
that. Yeah,
it's fine,
1,000. Yeah.
The top 5 has rarely really changed, has it? For like a few laps.
I think it has been the same since lap 1.
Yeah.
I want to say. No, genuinely, because like,
Apart
well,
from the pit
Hamilton and
stops and
Perez
stuff, but
got Russell, and then it stayed the same. I've not seen a Ferrari once today.
And Russell's definitely going to pit for fastest lap, isn't he? 32
well, yeah.
seconds clear of Carlos
Although
Sainz.
he'd need to pit right now, wouldn't he? If he was going to do that.
Now.
And he has. Cool.
Oh, there you go, see?
What about Leclerc? Would he pit for fastest lap or not? No.
I don't think the Ferrari's quick enough,
Yeah.
honestly. If I'm them, I'm just like, well.
True, yeah,
To
consolidate.
be fair, he could. Like, he's got the
Yeah,
car.
it's true.
So, you know,
Little battle for fastest
Yeah.
lap at the end.
go on.
We'll see. Oh,
Danny's
man.
got 7th though.
I was going to say, I'm eating my words on Daniel Ricciardo right now.
Yeah.
He's been
Yeah, he's actually got it, hasn't he?
flying.
Great drive from Ricciardo. I mean,
Again,
again,
just punch in the head.
He's got that gun that's shaped like the truck.
Well, he's not hitting the target then in that case.
it'd be interesting to see what the drivers say. I wonder what Lando will make of that strategy for Daniel working so well as well, you know? Because I guess McLaren's hand was kind of forced maybe through the penalty, but...
That's one to write down for next season because it's been so overpowered in comparison. Like Daniel was literally like 12th
That's it.
before that, and he's just leapfrogged like 5 dons.
That's it. 5 dons.
5
I'm going to
dons.
put it better myself.
Alonso dropping out is
Hold
big,
it.
big for 4th place in the championship.
Yeah, true, actually, true.
F1 needs to change their graphics. It's not the final lap. It's the last lap. Don't forget to like,
Last.
subscribe, comment, follow us on Pixo, Squarespace.
Ooh. Squarespace. Follow us on NordVPN.
Please sponsor us. You know it. Do it. B&Q it.
Come
If
on.
you're not from the UK, you wouldn't understand B&Q.
Yeah, I was going to say all these random...
Niche.
Verstappen is just 15 seconds ahead, and he's just like, yeah, man,
You know what?
I've got my golden helmet on. I'm out here, man.
To be fair, like... Maybe there is. Look, I don't think we've seen enough to be too critical of Mercedes of whether they have blown an opportunity here, but you can't doubt Red Bull, like 14 and a half seconds ahead by the end. Max Verstappen not put a foot wrong. It's a deserved victory for sure, and that breaks the records. I'm assuming he's not going to crash in the final half of the lap, of course.
Don't bin it. And Sergio Perez wins.
But yeah, like
I think
Unreal.
It's actually ridiculous season when you do
it's
it.
crazy. It's
you
so-
have to give
so
a lot
good.
of credit to Red Bull as well after like the couple of last weeks
sure,
they've
man.
had to
Yeah.
just stay focused.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's it.
1,000%.
That's it.
He stayed focused, and round the final corner,
He wins.
Verstappen wins.
Verstappen.
Koskappen, no, genuinely. Max Verstappen wins the Mexican GP.
Smashed it. No,
Unreal drive. like,
thoroughly well
realistically.
deserved.
15 seconds.
Tyre conservation for days. Unreal stuff from Red Bull. Lewis takes a really good P2. If we're going to be honest, like, last couple of weeks have been sick for Lewis too.
Yeah.
Is Russell going to get the
Perez podium.
Yes.
Yes, the crowd goes wild. We love to see it.
Go on, Checo. Will Russell get fastest lap as well? He's on the soft.
He's got to, surely. If he doesn't, it's a howler.
Surely. Is Perez at the minute?
Oh, the Mexican fans are going to be devastated with that.
You took the fastest lap.
Because let's be honest.
How date? Ricardo
That
P7.
point kind of does count for Perez. He's what, 2 behind Leclerc. We'll,
Actually,
we'll go
yeah.
ahead now, but
Yeah, he is guaranteed to go ahead, isn't he, right now? But
Mission accomplished.
I am
accomplished.
so happy. I'm going to go to bed so happy knowing Ricardo's went 7th.
Mate,
Like, that's so good.
that honestly is, I mean, he's easily, I was going to ask about driver of the day. For me, he's my driver of the day just straight off the bat.
It's a great pick. Great pick.
even after smashing into Tsunoda.
I don't, you
gotta do what you gotta do.
You got to do what you got to do in these situations.
yeah,
Apart from slapping into Tsunoda. Yeah.
I think 10 seconds is harsh.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 10-second penalty, I'm not going to lie. But.
I think that there was a gap there. He went for it. I don't know if he maybe locked a brake, because I think sometimes they take that into account, because then it's like, how in control of you
He
are you in your car?
was a tiny bit sideways. I think that's what they've gone with.
But also, he wasn't that far alongside Tsunoda. Like, if for me, if you're more than 50% of the way alongside, I think you're entitled to racing room. I'm not sure if he was that close alongside, so maybe that's why they gave him a penalty. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know what, for vibes, I'm giving it to Ricciardo as well, for sure.
Beautiful.
I'm sure you could break it down and maybe give it to someone else.
It's going
but
to
I
be
think,
best night's sleep ever.
yeah. you just have the poster in your bed, stroke him.
Replaying just this clip.
And you know what? It wasn't a barnstormer of a race, was it? But it wasn't a bad race. There was.
We had a good
I
time.
think we hoped it would converge. Yeah, exactly. It was good
Yeah,
company.
we had a phenomenal time. I think as far as like the top 6 just staying the same since lap 1, not a good race from that perspective. If we're going to be honest, like there wasn't really a huge amount of jeopardy. Even like
No.
obviously, if the Red Bulls had to pit again, then yeah, calm. Like we would have got something really, really sick there. But there wasn't that convergence of strategy.
So I mean, Red Bull, like they played it in a certain way that meant that they could make a strategy work that even Pirelli didn't think was feasible, which is, I think, testament to the drivers and testament to the car at the end of the day.
George did get fastest lap point, by the way.
He did.
Just to clarify, just to confirm.
I feel like the middle of the pack was quite interesting at times.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Ricciardo fighting through was sick, and you know, there's some good battles going on.
Alonso going off as well.
Yeah. He was fuming. I can't.
They're playing the F1 theme tune.
With like Mexican horns.
Yeah.
So sick.
It sounds so good. That is a great lid, actually, for Max, the gold lid.
Yeah.
I like
Such a
that.
good place to come out the car as well, right in the middle of all them.
Yeah.
Do they still have the rising podium, do you know?
Oh, that is
But
sick.
there's a ramp, and then it's like a small lift.
Okay.
I don't know why they've done like a really little lift. They've got to get Verstappen's car up this ramp.
Nice.
And then they're going to lift him about 3 feet up to the podium.
Right, okay, fair enough. All right, cool.
Nice. Right, let's get some graphics on screen, shall we? Let's have a look at how
The
this
drivers' standings after today. Max Verstappen, unsurprisingly, still leading the championship.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
what? Again, look,
crazy.
this for sure. Like Max and Red Bull have been incredible. Ferrari should be so much closer. I'm sorry, they just
Yeah,
should.
Sergio Perez now up into second, obviously, as we said,
Yeah.
ahead of Leclerc.
Big points for Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah,
as well.
good day for him in trying to charge into the top 10
Lewis
from the end of the
Hamilton
season.
above Carlos Sainz as well. Just before that was in the previous one.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Let's get constructors as well. I think constructors is where it's more interesting because look, 40 points now between Ferrari and Mercedes. That's not insurmountable if there's a couple of Ferrari
races to go.
DNFs.
Yeah.
Or Alpine, McLaren. That's now.
Alonso going out for Alpine's affected it as well.
That
That's been the story of the season, literally. They've been, I mean, the amount of points they would have, I know it's an if, but, a maybe or whatever, but like the amount of points they would have if Alonso's car actually finished races would be
Checo's
crazy.
dad.
Checo's
dad's
dad. Come on.
Papa Perez is here. Actually, I saw a really good video recently talking about Sergio's journey, and literally, they would drive like overnight for like 8 hours total, like 4 hours each way to go to like karting events. Like
Really?
the support that Checo's dad gave him was second to none. So he's not only a really nice man, but also he was very
He
very
his junior
supportive.
driving in the UK, right? He was
Yes.
British F3 and stuff.
Yeah, he lived in Germany for a bit, and then he moved to Oxford and killed it. But mate, Checo podium. That's the main thing. That's the vibe.
That's honestly all
That's
I
the
care
main
about
thing.
today.
Yeah.
I can't even lie.
Please
And everyone's giving Matt Checo's dad.
His dad's just so nice to everyone. Literally to everyone, it's great.
Hey, just let Sergio bring his dad on the podium.
That would
Please.
That was so good.
And then let him drive the car.
They let Shaquille O'Neal on the podium. Let Checo's dad on.
Who's the Red Bull representative going up? And if it's not
Yes.
Sergio Perez's dad,
Yes, get him in the full kit.
They
Do it.
hire him today.
Yeah, just get him in.
It's like one of the pit crew.
Brilliant. Right, okay. Predictions, lads.
We'll,
Let's
see how these played out.
I'm a
Not a good day at the office for me and JB, I can't lie.
Wheel knowledge. 101.
I went for the dreamer option at one.
Yeah, but Cam, listen,
Yeah.
P2 out of 4, you know,
I'll take it,
on the
right?
podium. Yeah, exactly.
That was one blown tyre away from being correct, so I'm not even going to lie. That
Well,
was a
that
good
wheel
shout.
should be a bicycle, you know?
Yeah, no, I prefer not to speak about mine.
Yeah,
If I speak,
that's it. I'm in big trouble.
big trouble.
I love when people reference that Mourinho when they don't know football.
Yeah.
It's transcendent.
Like some American tech YouTuber is like, oh, you know that meme with that guy?
That guy. If I speak.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble. So what do we think, lads, overall? Brace? Out of 10?
rating.
Out of 10? Come on, out of 10.
I
Chat, let us know. What do you think out of 10 of that race as a spectacle, I guess?
think I've enjoyed it more being with yous. I think if I was watching that by myself, I would be like,
Yeah.
it was
A few
one
trips
of
to the fridge.
yeah, exactly,
Get a
yeah.
cup of
Like
tea.
Yeah.
run a bath.
Yeah, watch the percentage of the rain. 'Cause that's what
Yeah, in the end there was a 0%.
You get in the shower because it is 100% chance of rain. Oh, some twos.
Someone said 10? Oh, for the mariachi bud.
Yeah. I hear that.
To be fair, yeah.
I know that the top 6 doesn't change much, but for it to not change at all throughout the entire race was like...
Yeah.
This one won't go down in the history books, will it? I'd say maybe a 4.
I'd say a 3, honestly.
Slightly below average.
Say a 3.
Ricardo, I'll say a 4. It would be.
There are
I thought you were going to go big then.
7. No.
4,000.
But Daniel Ricciardo, a 7, because he's in 7th place.
Maybe. And there we go. Right.
Shall we call it a race? Sean said.
Lewis was getting booed, someone said. I don't know what the...
That's just because he beat Sergio. They were like,
yeah.
God damn it. It's not run.
But yeah, I'll be interested to see after this whether... Because they always break it down afterwards. There's been a few races this year where they're like, oh, if they did pit or if they didn't pit, how would it have affected them? I'll be interested to know if there was a way Mercedes might have been able to win this race. Because also Red Bull looked incredible. But Checo's press. Come on, we've got to listen to this.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
Just vibes. Good vibes. What are your emotions, Checo? Look at that.
He's just gonna
70,000 in that. I thought,
In there?
Just in that little bit.
That's what you just said, 70,000. Oh my God.
That is so sick.
What's isn't that the same as like the Spurs stadium?
Yeah, that's
I think?
huge.
That's mad.
Imagine they just, instead of Silverstone, they're just like driving through.
Actually, yeah, which
Anfield.
football, imagine like St James's Park, you had like the track go through the
my
Newcastle Grand Prix.
That would be so good. It's in the city. So it'd be like,
A great street circuit.
As long as you don't get a grandstand seat for the race up in the fucking heavens. At St. James's Park. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's a vertical.
True. True. All right, should we wrap it there, boys?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I hope we've made this. Yeah, it's not been the most exciting race. I hope we've made it a bit more exciting, a bit more interesting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that stuff, so you can see us for the next race. Not next weekend. Weekend after, we go to Brazil, Interlagos.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for that. Great track. Should be a banger, hopefully. And we'll be back again, the two of us. But Cam, JB, how have you enjoyed, Cam? Good day?
Really loved it.
evening.
You know what? I was a bit worried before because I was like, oh, everyone's going to hate us because I know a lot less than you. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
We're here for a good time.
Yeah,
Not technical analysis, bro. That's not what we're
That's
here.
what I realised
That's
very
it,
early
man.
on. I was like, these guys know nothing.
Good vibes only, man.
Yeah.
But no,
Cool.
pleasure having you on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
JB,
man,
JB as
massively
well, bro.
appreciate it coming on. Thanks for having me.
check out Not Applicable JB on YouTube.
That is
by the
me,
way.
yeah. Thank
Great
you so
channel.
much.
And anything you guys want to plug before we go?
Follow me
Anything
on
and everything.
Squarespace. Yeah.
Big up. Appreciate that. Also, Tuesday podcast. Keep an eye. We're going to record that after this.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, on the podcast
We'll
on
talk
Tuesday.
about all the subjects we didn't really dive into too much detail about. Because there's a lot to talk about still that we didn't really cover too much. Because, the race got in the way.
Yeah, no, we were actually quite like talking about the race quite a lot. To be fair, like during.
That's
So
what I mean.
There's plenty more to check out in the podcast, so you can see that on Tuesday. The full ones are going out on YouTube.
They
from
are.
this point onwards.
You can see our beautiful faces for an hour and
Yes,
a bit.
not just the audio version. But if you are listening in on Spotify, then do feel free to give us 5-star rating.
That's it.
Or whatever streaming platform you are listening on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a wrap. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you
It's a burrito, actually, because we're in Mexico.
on... That's it. We'll see you on Tuesday.
So I actually...
And we'll see you next Last Lap Live for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you next time. Adios.
Ciao, adios. Bye.